Chapter 871. Yun Shishir felt awkward at first, but her manager said, "You're not famous now, but when the movie is released and you become famous, if the media publishes those sneaky photos of you dressed so shabbily and without class, they'll think that I'm abusing you." Yun Shishir had no way of rejecting his offer. Thus, beautiful clothes of various styles filled her entire wardrobe. In fact, she was the kind of woman who let nature take its course. She was not good at clothes, and her manager often complained about it. Xiao Shui was gratified. A while ago, Yun Shishir was very popular on Weibo, so much so that Xiao Shui, who did not use Weibo often, developed the habit of scrolling through it. She was sincerely happy for her. "Shishir." Xiao Shui called out a few times tentatively. Yun Shishir opened her eyes abruptly and woke up. When she saw her friend's warm smile, she could not help but smile. "Xiao Shui, you're here." There was a traffic jam for half an hour because of a car accident. "Boohoo. Shishir, you must have waited for a long time." "It's okay." Her words came to an abrupt halt. Yun Shishir caught a glimpse of an unfamiliar man standing beside her, and could not help but be startled. Xiao Shui followed her gaze, and saw the man beside her. She immediately hooked her arm around his, and leaned her head on him like a little bird, introducing him generously. "Shishir, let me introduce you. This is my boyfriend Gao Nan. We've been dating for a month. Today is our 1-month anniversary, hee. You don't mind that I brought my boyfriend along, right?" Yun Shishir's face was blank for a moment before she smiled. "Why would I mind? It's just a little too sudden." Gao Nan immediately stepped forward and extended his hand to Yun Shishir, saying politely, "Hello Shishir. I'm Gao Nan, Xiao Shui's colleague and boyfriend. She often talks about you." For some reason, the man's gaze on her made her feel particularly uncomfortable. She did not know if it was an illusion or something, but she felt that the man's gaze was particularly deep when he looked at her. It was so deep that it made her hair stand on end. However, his gaze soon returned to normal. "Hello." Yun Shishir shook his hand. However, when she wanted to withdraw her hand, the man's grip tightened. Yun Shishir's face embarrassed, and she pulled her hand back. "What's wrong with this man? It's so strange. Why is he holding my hand so tightly?" Yun Shishir's impression of the man instantly. She felt that the man's gaze on her, and it was especially uncomfortable. Xiao Shui and Gao Nan and the waiter. She ordered 2 cups, coffee and snacks. Shishir's coffee too, Gao Nan's, who was the woman's. Before Yun Shishir could reply, Xiao Shui shook her head. "Shishir has never liked coffee." "Why?" Gao Nan's attention seemed to be especially focused on Yun Shishir. He looked at her and smiled politely. "Coffee may be bitter, but it's especially fragrant when it's added." "I don't like coffee." "Thank you." Yun Shishir politely declined. Since she said so, Gao Nan could not say anything else. Chapter 872. Since Shishir doesn't like coffee, why did you ask her to meet you in a cafe? He asked with a smile. Xiao Shui giggled. "Because I like coffee. Besides, coffee isn't the only thing here. For example, Shishir likes the mocha frappuccino here. Every time we come here, I'll order a Blue Mountain and she'll order a mocha frappuccino. That's how we spend the whole afternoon. Then, let's order another mocha frappuccino for Shishir." Seeing that Yun Shishir's mocha frappuccino was almost half filled, the man suggested. Yun Shishir immediately shook her head. "No need. It's not good to drink too much of the sweet stuff." Yes. You'll get sick of it if you drink too much. Besides, Shishir is a superstar now, so she has to maintain her figure." Only then did he say, "Shishir, just order whatever you like. Don't be too restrained." She immediately rebuked. Do I need you to tell me that? Shishir and I have been in a relationship for so many years." Yun Shishir tugged at the corner of her lips, feeling extremely awkward inside. She felt that Gao Nan had been particularly enthusiastic and concerned about her ever since he appeared. "Isn't he afraid that Xiao Shui will be jealous when he treats me so gently? Girls don't like it when their partners are too attentive and gentle to other girls." Xiao Shui had not seen her for more than a month, so she had a lot to say to her, such as how hard it was to adapt to the company environment, how she met and fell in love with her boyfriend, and so on. In short, she had a lot to say to Yun Shishir. However, before she could say much, Gao Nan suddenly interjected, I heard from Xiao Shui that you're filming in the production team now. His sudden interruption stunned Xiao Shui, but she did not think much of it and just went along with his words. Yes, Shirshir is filming in the production team of The Green Apple, as the female lead. Moreover, the male lead is played by Gu Xingzi. Shirshir will definitely shoot to fame when this movie is released. Yin Shirshir smiled shyly. Xiao Shui, what do you mean by instant fame? You're exaggerating a little too much. That's right. Shirshir was already famous. She was featured in all the behind-the-scenes videos posted by the crew of The Green Apple. It's obvious that the crew is also trying to support Shirshir. Xiao Shui was stunned for a moment before she asked curiously, Huh? You're on Weibo too? Didn't you tell me that you don't use Weibo? Gao Nan replied, I just opened my Weibo account. Oh, why didn't you tell me that you opened an account? Let's pay attention to each other. Xiao Shui said, speaking of which, Shirshir, I didn't expect you to have a Weibo account as well. You even followed me first. I'm so excited. What's there to be excited about? He's a superstar. You're a superstar now. Now that I've caught the attention of a superstar, my friends are so envious of me. Xiao Shui suddenly had an idea and said, Shirshir, if only I could catch the attention of Gu Xingzi. Even if it's just for a day, I'll be so happy. You're Gu Xingzi's fan? Yin Shirshir was a little surprised. Yes. I have a collection of his posters at home. I've been following him since his debut. I've been his fan for 10 years, and I have all his albums. I can watch every single one of his movies dozens of times. Xiao Shui immediately turned into a fangirl at the mention of Gu Xingzi. Yin Shirshir did not expect Xiao Shui to be Gu Xingzi's die-hard fan, and was a little surprised. Chapter 873. Her words brought the topic back to her once more. Yin Shirshir was stunned for a moment before she gave a perfunctory reply. It's all right. Filming is work and all work is hard. Yeah. I used to think that those who say work is tiring are just making groundless moans. But when I joined the company, I realized that working is really tiring. She complained bitterly. Yin Shirshir knew her best friend well. She grew up in a good family, and was a typical rich missy. Back then, when she was still in college, she had her first BMW, which attracted the envy of many. Hence, the little princess, who was used to living at home, found it hard to adapt to work. When she was still in school, she went to a cafe to work part-time with her on a whim, but she gave up after a few days. Indeed, she could not bear hardships. Hence, she was quite surprised that she could persevere for a month without quitting. Why don't you work in the family company? Well, because my dad told me to go to a foreign company to hone my skills before returning to the family company, she replied. Still, he's also surprised that I can persevere. I didn't expect you to persevere either. Do you know why? She winked at her mysteriously and suddenly smiled shyly. It turned out that not long after she joined the company, she was transferred to the administrative department as a secretary. The head of the administrative department was Gao Nan, who was sitting next to her. Speaking of Gao Nan, Xiao Shui, who was in love, was like a little girl who had just fallen in love. She began to talk about her relationship history. Gao Nan was the head of the administrative department, and the son of a shareholder of this foreign company. He came from a good family, and was considered a good match for the Xiao family. He was handsome and elegant, so he was the prince charming in the hearts of many girls in the company. Naturally, he captured Xiao Shui's heart. The only reason she could persevere was that her admiration for him had turned into motivation. She was a girl who dared to love and hate. She never liked to bury her feelings for the people and things she liked in her heart. Half a month after joining the administrative department, she mustered the courage to confess to Gao Nan. To her surprise, he agreed. The two of them quickly confirmed their relationship. Xiao Shui even planned to bring Gao Nan home to meet her parents in the second half of the year. Now that she was in the honeymoon period and had tasted the sweetness of love, Yin Shirshir could not help but frown at the mention of meeting her parents. Isn't this progressed too fast? Shirshir, after having Gao Nan, I really feel that I'm the happiest woman in the world. Xiao Shui smiled contentedly, her face brimming with undisguised happiness. Yin Shirshir smiled too, but she suddenly realized that Gao Nan's gaze was still fixed on her even as Xiao Shui said this. He couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. Xiao Shui suddenly remembered something and said, "By the way, do you still remember Huang Lily?" Huang Lily. She muttered the name under her breath. Of course she remembered it. Huang Lily was the campus belle, and the dream lover of many boys. However, she did not have a good impression of her. She didn't know why, but Huang Lily was always at odds with her. She always put on airs in front of her, which made her feel uncomfortable. What happened to her? Chapter 874. As she spoke, she took out an invitation from her bag and handed it over. Yin Shishir's eyes lit up as she took it from her. It was an invitation to a class reunion. Yesterday, she informed her classmates in the WeChat group that there's going to be a class reunion. Apparently, it's at Yongya Private Clubhouse. She couldn't reach you, so she asked me to contact you. Yin Shishir replied. Yongya Private Clubhouse? I heard that it's very expensive. In her impression, Huang Lily came from an ordinary family. Why would she choose to hold a banquet at a private clubhouse? Xiao Shui smiled contemptuously. Her family is so poor, and she hasn't had a job since graduation. She even posts travel photos on her WeChat moments. How can she afford such an expensive place? She's so vain. I bet she's hooked up with a rich man, so she can't wait to show off to us. Yin Shishir rested her chin on her hand. Actually, I don't really want to go. I don't want to go either. If I go, I might have to see some pretentious people showing off their boyfriends, bags, diamond necklaces. It's so boring. Yin Shishir, however, remained silent. Xiao Shui continued. However, this time, our class monitor said that he's going to emigrate soon. This is his last class reunion before he leaves the country, so he hopes that the whole class can be present. Since he said so, I can't refuse. He's going to emigrate? Yin Shishir had some impression of this class monitor. His name was Meng Qinghe, and he took good care of her. When is the class reunion? It's tomorrow. Yin Shishir was stunned. Shishir, are you willing to go? Xiao Shui asked tentatively. Yin Shishir was silent for a while. I don't want to go. Go, Gao Nan suddenly said. I'll go with Xiao Shui tomorrow. Shishir, you come along too. Xiao Shui did not notice the enthusiasm and anticipation in his words as she continued to play along. Shishir, let's go, let's go. You're not the same as before. Who would dare to laugh at you? Besides, I'm here, so don't be afraid. Whoever dares to bully you, I won't let them off. Gao Nan followed suit. Shishir, let's go together. Isn't this guy a little too enthusiastic? Yin Shishir felt extremely awkward. She felt that Gao Nan was paying too much attention to her. With that thought, she felt a little uncomfortable, so she slowly stood up and said, I'll go to the bathroom first. Yes. All right. Xiao Shui nodded with a smile and lowered her head to take a sip of coffee. She walked to the washroom and washed her hands clean of the sweet and greasy stains. When I was drinking mocha just now, I accidentally spilled some on my hand. When she came out after washing her hands, she was shocked by the man who appeared at the door like a ghost. She saw Gao Nan standing at the door with his back against the wall. She didn't know how long he had been standing there. Dressed in a shirt and black pants, he looked like a handsome and elegant business elite. However, when she calmed down and met his deep eyes, she couldn't help but be startled. She retreated slightly to keep a distance from him. Why are you here? Yin Shishir forced a smile. Gao Nan, on the other hand, did not say a word as he quietly sized her up. Yin Shishir. What a nice name. What's more, as her name suggests, she's very good-looking. His sudden remark was baffling to the others. Chapter 875. He was clearly here to accompany his girlfriend, yet he kept bringing her into the conversation, which made her feel rather displeased. During the banquet, he kept trying to strike up a conversation with her, but in fact, Yin Shishir was unwilling to have too much to do with him. After all, he was her boyfriend. Moreover, given her character, she had never liked to get too close to strangers of the opposite sex. Perhaps it was because of what happened in college that she always kept a distance from the opposite sex, and tried her best to avoid being gossiped about. Noticing the faint displeasure on her face, Gao Nan merely smiled. It was not that he did not notice that she was avoiding him. Is she pretending to be virtuous? Thinking about it, it was nothing much. After all, She was a woman from the entertainment industry. With Yin Shirshir's looks, she could definitely make a name for herself in the industry. As such, as a big star, it was understandable for her to put on airs to not appear too cheap. Initially, Xiao Shui said that she was meeting a friend and wanted him to accompany her, but Gao Nan refused at first. That was because he felt that it was meaningless. However, when she said that this friend was her best friend, she wanted to formally introduce him to her. Gao Nan, do you know Yin Shirshir? She's my best friend. You're my boyfriend, so I want to formally introduce you to her. When she said that, Gao Nan asked if she was Yin Shirshir, the newcomer who had been in the limelight recently. She said that she was. That was why he was willing to accompany her here. It was all because he wanted to see how the legendary and otherworldly Yin Shirshir looked like in real life. However, when he followed Xiao Shui into the cafe, he caught sight of Yin Shirshir nestled on the sofa, dozing off. The moment he saw her face, it was not an exaggeration to say that he was taken aback. Stunning. He did not expect Yin Shirshir to be prettier in real life than in the photos exposed on Weibo. For a moment, he could not help but be tempted. Gao Nan smiled, but this smile was different from the polite one he showed to Xiao Shui earlier. Yin Shirshir saw the strange smile on his face, and felt her scalp go numb for a moment. She forced a smile and said, I'll go back to my seat first. Xiao Shui is still waiting for me. Just as she was about to leave, her arm was grabbed by Gao Nan. The man grabbed her arm and pulled her toward him. Startled, she lifted her head to look at the man's smile, only to find it a little strange and unfathomable. He was about 1.8 meters tall, so when she stood in front of him, she was just below his shoulders. He pulled her back, but Yin Shirshir didn't like his touch. She frowned. You. With your looks, your net worth must be very high, right? Gao Nan's sudden question came out of nowhere. Yin Shirshir was taken aback by his words, and did not understand what he meant for a moment. Gao Nan continued. I heard that any woman who can make a name for herself in showbiz has a sugar daddy behind her. You've just debuted, yet you're already famous. You should have a sugar daddy behind you, right? The moment he said that, Yin Shirshir immediately understood what he meant. Her face turned sullen and angry. Are you angry from embarrassment? Chapter 876. What do you know? Yin Shirshir could tell what kind of person he was. She shook off his grip and turned to leave. However, the man had already seen her as his prey. Since he had his eyes on her, how could he let her escape? Hence, he wrapped his arm around her waist. Yin Shirshir's expression changed as she felt the hand around her waist tighten. She was then pulled back and pinned against the wall. His tall body blocked her escape route, trapping her between him and the wall. You're asking me what I know. What I know is that for a woman like you, everything has a clear price tag. For example, what's the price for a meal? What's the price for sleeping with you for a night? Since you're such a woman, we're both well aware of such things. You don't have to pretend to be so virtuous in front of me. I've seen it too many times, and it's inevitably disgusting. His mother was Chengguang Entertainment's director and shareholder. Since he was young, he often attended dinners with his mother. Some female celebrities pretended to be dignified and elegant on TV, as if they were so beautiful that not a speck of dust could stain them. What about in private, though? Didn't they obediently attend dinners with just a phone call? Be it dinners or sleeping partners, they all had clear prices, ranging from hundreds of thousands to millions to tens of millions. As long as one had money, was there any celebrity in the entertainment industry who could not sleep with him? He had seen plenty of such things. When he looked back at those female celebrities who pretended to be virtuous in front of their fans, he could not help but feel disgusted by the fact that they had to set up a monument for themselves. I don't know what you're talking about. Yin Shirshir's face turned red as she glared at him in embarrassment and anger. Gao Nan, I'm giving you face on account that you're Xiao Shui's boyfriend. Don't bite people like a mad dog. A look of annoyance surfaced on his face, but it was soon replaced by an amused smile. You're saying that I'm a mad dog? Interesting. This little mouth of yours is really quite fierce, huh? Or are you just playing hard to get? Are you using this method to attract potential investors? This man was truly shameless. On the surface, he looked like a decent human, but he was actually a beast dressed in human clothing. deep down, he was such a frivolous person. Gao Nen lowered his head and leaned close to her neck. He took a deep breath of the fragrance from her hair and grinned frivolously. You smell so good. I wonder how it tastes when you're in bed. Gao Nan, I'm warning you. Let go of me. Yin Shishir found his face to be extremely disgusting and resisted with all her might. However, Gao Nan's body was strong, and he had been exercising all this while. Her resistance was nothing to him. Yin Shishir, let's lay things out on the table and talk things out. How much do you get for one night? The price is clearly stated. I don't want to play games with you. It's boring. Get lost. Yin Shishir warned in disgust. How much? The man acted as if he did not hear her, and ignored the disgust in her eyes. 500,000? 1 million? With your looks, it's understandable even if you ask for 10 million. His arrogant words did not hide his humiliation toward her at all. Chapter 877. How could this man be so overboard? Recalling the shy and lovable look on her friend's face when she snuggled up to him, Yin Shishir's heart ached for her friend all of a sudden. She was so angry that she was rendered speechless, and her face was full of anger. However, the more angry she was, the more Gao Nen was distracted. Right from the start, most of the women around him could not wait to get close to him. However, even if she was playing hard to get, she was still playing tricks with him. Still, he had to admit that he had developed a strong interest in her. Lowering his head, Gao Nen unscrupulously admired the angry look on her face. She was glaring at him with a pair of eyes that were filled with forbearance and stubbornness. Her beautiful eyes were as ethereal and beautiful as the distant mountains. Coupled with her pure and refined face, it was so tender that it looked as if it could be broken with a snap of his fingers. Her angry face seemed to have been smeared with pink rouge, making her look charming and alluring. As if possessed, he lowered his head with a greedy look in his eyes. He wanted to kiss her seductive little mouth, but Yin Shishir quickly dodged and then raised her hand to give him a hard slap. Smack. He gave her a hard slap. She angrily pushed him away. She felt that she was degrading herself by being looked at by this man for an extra second. I've never seen such a shameless man like you. Yin Shishir angrily gritted her teeth. If she didn't control herself, her whole body would probably tremble in anger. I didn't expect you to hide such a disgusting face despite your dignified appearance. Gao Nan subconsciously touched his cheek, which was burning hot. This woman's slap wasn't light at all. However, instead of getting angry, he laughed. Touching the corner of his lip, which had been cut by his teeth, he licked it and tasted a hint of blood. Pooh! He laughed. What's wrong? Are you angry? Gao Nen looked at her with contempt in his eyes, as if her slap was not serious at all. It was probably one of her tricks to loosen the reins in order to get closer to him. What's there to be angry about with a man like you? He just felt that it was really disgusting. When Yin Shishir thought of Xiao Shui, she suddenly felt indignant for Xiao Shui. Such a man was clearly a wastrel, and was not worthy of Xiao Shui. I'm warning you, please behave yourself. You're betraying Xiao Shui, do you understand? Her? I'm just playing with it. Once I'm tired of it, I'll just throw it away. His face was frighteningly cold. Xiao Shui is my friend, and I won't allow you to treat her like this. Yin Shishir was furious. The man snorted. What right do you have to say this to me? This is between me and her. It's not up to you to interfere. When he said that, Yin Shishir fell silent. She had nothing to say. It was as if she didn't have the right to ask about this matter. However, she just couldn't stand it anymore. She clenched her fists and asked, Are you like this in front of Xiao Shui? Gao Nen raised a brow, obviously not understanding the meaning of her words. Yin Shishir continued, Or do you pretend to be a dignified gentleman in front of her, but behind her back, you put on such a disgusting face? Her. Chapter 878. As if he had just heard the funniest joke in the world, he coldly said, She can pretend in front of me, but I can't do the same in front of her. What do you mean? Isn't that the case? He sneered. Yin Shishir, stop acting all high and mighty in front of me to accuse me. What right do you have to be so arrogant? Why are you still acting all high and mighty in front of me? Yin Shishir was dumbfounded. Gao Nen continued. Xiao Shui is quite an interesting woman. We've been in a relationship for so long, but she only lets me hold hands and kiss. She won't let me touch anything else. I say we're already adults, so why is she still acting like this? Just who was she pretending to be pure and innocent like a white lotus for? What era is it now? Why is she still so conservative and chaste? Does she really think of herself as Du Shenyang? Is she so precious that I can't even touch her? Is she made of gold? Yin Shirshir was stunned for a moment. When she realized what kind of vicious words the man had used to criticize her friend, she trembled in anger. Yin Shirshir, you know what kind of society we are in now, right? Aside from kissing and holding hands, how can we still be considered a couple? Or has she never treated me as a boyfriend? If it weren't for her family's wealth, I would have dumped her long ago. After a pause, he continued. To tell you the truth, if it weren't for the fact that we're well matched in terms of social status, I wouldn't have agreed to date her. Other than her family's background and her looks, what else is attractive about her? Shameless. Yin Shirshir was so angry that she could not speak. Shameless? He took a step closer to her and looked down at her condescendingly. His tone was both sarcastic and mocking. To me, a woman only has two functions. The first type was a woman of equal social status. If he married her, he would be able to expand his family's territory. The other is to satisfy a woman like you, who is just a tool to satisfy her biological needs. Yin Shirshir's bottom line was immediately crossed. She raised her hand, but Gao Nan held it firmly. He grabbed her chin and sneered. Yin Shirshir, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. I'm buying you because I think highly of you. You must know that not just any woman can climb into my bed. I have to like her first. I like a woman who knows how to appreciate favors. Yin Shirshir's face turned ghastly pale. She was so angry that she laughed and enunciated each word clearly. Gao Nan, you're not even worthy of my attention. What? Honestly, a man like you is no different from a worm in a stinky ditch. She paused for a moment before her words escaped from her red lips. It's dirty, disgusting, and disgusting. With that, she broke free from his grip and walked away, ignoring the man's livid face. Gao Nan was so angry that he stood rooted to the ground, unable to come back to his senses for a long time. When she returned to her seat, Xiao Shui was looking at the street outside the window. Seeing her return, she turned her head and smiled. Just as she was about to speak, she saw the latter's gloomy face. She lowered her head and kept quiet after returning to her seat, which made her feel a little strange. Shirshir, what's wrong with you? Yin Shirshir raised her head and looked at her with a complicated expression. She opened her mouth but couldn't utter a single syllable. In fact, she really wanted to repeat what the man had just said to her word for word. Chapter 879. Girls who were in the honeymoon phase of their relationship were almost blind and unhesitant about love. She could tell that Xiao Shui cared a lot about Gao Nan. Having been friends with her for so long, her impression of the latter had always been that she was a resolute and decisive woman. She was very picky when it came to men. However, this was understandable. After all, she came from a superior family, and she would not take a fancy to ordinary men. During her few years in college, there were many boys who chased after her, but she said that relationships in college would always end in failure, so she did not want to waste time. As for Gao Nan, she could tell that she had feelings for him. After all, this was the first time she saw the shyness and dependence of a young woman on her face. This was especially true when she was leaning against Gao Nan with adoration in her eyes. She must love Gao Nan a lot, right? Even if she believed her words, how big of a blow would she suffer if she knew Gao Nan's true colors? Moreover, as Gao Nan said, this was their relationship, and she was in no position to interfere, right? Still, she could only sit back and watch her best friend be played by a scumbag. She really could not bear it. Yin Shirshir looked like she wanted to say something but stopped herself. Seeing this, Xiao Shui asked, "What's wrong? Why do you look so pale? Are you feeling unwell?" "No." She shook her head. Xiao Shui, who was known for being impatient, became even more anxious. "Did someone bully you then? Tell me, who dares to bully our Shirshir?" Yin Shirshir looked at her and finally made up her mind. Just as she was about to speak, she saw Gao Nan walking toward their seats. Her words got stuck in her throat. Gao Nan returned to his seat, but there was no change in his expression. He sat down and naturally reached out to hug Xiao Shue's shoulders. The expression on his face was completely different from the frivolous one he had in front of her earlier. You must have waited for a long time. Why did you take so long to answer a call? She could not help grumbling. It was a call from the company. There's something I need to talk to you about, Gao Nan said concisely before he shot Yin Shishir a meaningful look. The latter felt as if he was sitting on pins and needles, and his expression was even more unsightly. After chatting with Gao Nan for a while, Xiao Shui turned to Yin Shishir and asked, Shishir, you don't look well. What's wrong? Yin Shishir glanced at Gao Nan and pretended to be calm. Maybe I've been exposed to the air conditioner for too long. It's a little cold and uncomfortable. Then why didn't you say so earlier? I feel cold too. With that said, Xiao Shui called the waiter and told him to turn up the temperature of the air conditioner. After that, Xiao Shui eloquently told her the interesting anecdotes in the company. Yin Shishir couldn't help but lose interest after what happened just now. Toward the end, Xiao Shui was about to leave with Gao Nan's arm when Yin Shishir suddenly said, Xiao Shui, can you send me home? Now I'm afraid I can't get a taxi. As she said this, she planned to have a good chat with Xiao Shui in private. Xiao Shui had always been her best friend, and she didn't want to see her go astray. I didn't drive today. Why don't I get Gao Nan to drive you? That's not very good. Shishir, why are you being so polite with me? Then, why don't I get my assistant to pick me up? It just so happens that I've moved to a new place. You can come over to my place. Yin Shishir immediately said. Shishir, you've moved? Chapter 880. Yin Shishir suddenly said. Is it okay if it's just the two of us? I have some private matters to discuss with you. With that, she turned to him. You won't mind, right? How could that be? Gao Nan smiled, but it was a fake one. He looked deeply at her before lowering his head to kiss her cheek. Give me a call when you're home. With that he left. Yin Shishir called Mushi, who happened to be free, and replied that she would be there in 15 minutes. Now there were only the two of them left. Yin Shishir suddenly asked, Xiao Shui, how long have you been dating Gao Nan? It's been more than half a month, Xiao Shui said. Suddenly, a smile appeared on her face. Time really flies. I feel like I'm dreaming. Shishir, do you know? When I confessed to him, I didn't expect him to agree to be with me. Still, the truth is that we've been dating for more than half a month. It's unbelievable. Do you like him that much? Of course. You know that I'm quite picky when it comes to boyfriends. Gao Nan fulfills all my fantasies of a boyfriend. Xiao Shui talked about how she felt that she had fallen in love with Gao Nan at first sight when she first entered the company, and that she already had feelings for him at first sight. He's tall, handsome, talented, and capable. I never believed in love at first sight, but it turns out that there's such a thing in this world. Then, Yin Shishir suddenly probed. Do you know him well? Xiao Shui was stunned, a look of disappointment appearing on her face. If I knew him well, I wouldn't be so insecure. Do you know? Gao Nan is so outstanding that many girls in the company like him. He's really annoying. I have to face so many love rivals every day at work. And this is also the reason why I've persisted in the company for so long. She sounded a little desolate. Sometimes I admire his excellence, but most of the time, I wish that he wasn't so outstanding. Do you know? I accidentally saw a message from him last time. A girl actually confessed to him despite knowing that he has a girlfriend. Shishir, I'm really uneasy. I'm afraid of losing him. Isn't your relationship quite stable? Yin Shishir did not know whether to laugh or cry. You've already planned to meet his parents. Isn't it too soon? That's because I really like him. Xiao Shui felt aggrieved. Shishir, I have something to ask you. Do you think that two people who love each other give everything to each other without holding anything back? I mean in that aspect. Xiao Shui, her face blushing. He said that he wants me. Yin Shishir was stunned for a moment before quickly understanding the meaning behind her words. Xiao Shui, I remember you said before that you're against premarital sex. When they were in university, Xiao Shui vowed that she would save her virginity for her wedding night. Yes. But Gao Nan said, What era are we in now? We don't value those things as much. Xiao Shui looked distressed. Chapter 881. Muxi arrived soon after. The car drove them back to Xiangti Walk. When Xiao Shui saw the garden bungalow, her face was full of surprise. Wow. It's a garden bungalow. Gosh, there are only 2 garden bungalows in Xiangti Walk. Sure, is this your new home? Yes, it is. She was in disbelief. I heard that this garden bungalow isn't for sale. What? Xiao Shui said, when my brother got married, he took a fancy to this garden bungalow and planned to buy it for his wedding home. It's not expensive, but I heard that this is a project reserved by the real estate company and not for sale to the public. This garden bungalow occupies almost all of the prime real estate in Xiangti Walk. Sure. How much did you buy for this house? About tens of millions? Yin Sure was a little confused. To be honest, this house was given to her by Mu Yaja, and her name was registered on the property deed. The entire Xiangti Walk was under the Mu Group's name, so it was only a matter of time before Mu Yaja gave her this house. My brother offered 100 million yuan, but he didn't get it. Xiao Shui's face was filled with envy and regret. Yin Sure could not help but be a little absent-minded. Thus, she brought her to visit the bungalow. Xiao Shui especially liked the back garden. Girls liked romance, so the back garden was full of Chinese roses. Sure, you still like Chinese roses that much? Yes. That's because my mother loved Chinese roses the most when she was alive, Sure answered. I like roses. If I have such a back garden, I'll definitely plant them all. It'll be beautiful. Xiao Shui twirled in the flowers with a bright smile. Yu returned home after shopping for groceries, and heard the sound of frolicking in the garden. He walked in and saw Yin Sure and Xiao Shui swinging gently on the swing. Mummy, Auntie Xiao Shui. Yu called out obediently. As soon as Xiao Shui saw him, she was immediately struck by his adorable look. She rushed over and pulled him into her arms. Yu, Auntie misses you so much. Do you miss Auntie? I don't want to. I've almost forgotten who you are. Despite her thoughts, Yu still had an innocent smile on her face. Yes. Oh. So cute. My heart is about to melt because of you. Xiao Shui refused to let go of him. I want to have a cute little boy like Yu with Gao Nan in the future. Yin Sure could not help but laugh. Yu slipped out of her arms and smiled elegantly. Auntie, take your time. I'm going to make dinner. You can cook? Xiao Shui was dumbfounded. She couldn't believe it. However, when it came to dinner, when she sat in front of the table and looked at the sumptuous dishes on the table, her eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Yu was obedient and cute, and he even did the housework. She thought of her cousin. He was the same age as Yu, but he didn't know anything other than eating, drinking, and having fun. There was no comparison. Comparisons were odious. Xiao Shui was envious and jealous. She kept praising Yin Sure for being lucky. Yin Sure was tickled by her envious, jealous, and hateful expression. Don't worry. You can have one in the future. Sure. Why don't you let Yu acknowledge me as his godmother? Xiao Shui bit her handkerchief with tears in her eyes. Chapter 882. She purposely teased him. Yu, why don't you want me to be your aunt? No. Yu smiled obediently. I only have one daddy and one mommy. Xiao Shui was amused by his serious look. All right. I won't tease you anymore. After dinner, Xiao Shui left. Yin Sure thought of something and gave her manager a call. Qingzhou, are you busy? Yes. His voice sounded muffled as if he had just woken up. Tell me, what's the matter? It's like this. Yin Sure pondered for a moment. Do you know anything about Qingguang Entertainment? Qingguang Entertainment? The manager was silent for a moment before humming in response. What's wrong with Qingguang Entertainment? Yin Sure remembered that Xiao Shui had mentioned that Gao Nan's mother was the director of Qingguang Entertainment called Gao Shi something. Gao Sisi. Qingzhou gave a brief introduction. It turned out that Qingguang Entertainment was the second biggest star-making dream factory in China after Huanyu Entertainment. The director of Qingguang Entertainment, Gao Sisi, had an extraordinary background. She held a high position in the entertainment industry and had a wide network. The reason why Gao Cici's background was extraordinary was because Gao Cici's father was a powerful figure. The Gao family was unlike the Song family. The Song family was a century-old scholarly family, and Old Master Song was one of the founding fathers of the country. Gao Cici's father, on the other hand, was a big shot in the Gao family. It was said that he was an important figure on par with Old Master Song, and was one of the 8 founding generals of the country. Therefore, Gao Cici was a typical second-generation heir. Gao Nan's father, Li Muzhong, was a live-in son-in-law. The reason why he had the status he had today was mainly because of the Gao family's power. Therefore, he was very afraid of Gao Cici, and even his son, Gao Nan, took the latter's surname. This was because he had no status in the Gao family. Everything he had now was nothing without the Gao family. Gao Cici doted on her son very much, which resulted in the latter's willful character. Gao Nan was a well-known playboy in the industry. He had slept with almost all the female artists under Qingguang Entertainment. Qin Zhou replied, Gao Nan has a bad reputation in the circle. Those female stars in Qingguang Entertainment were all chosen by him. Gao Cici dotes on this son of his, and indulges him almost without limit. Yun Shishir did not expect Xiao Shue's boyfriend to be such a man. If I talk about his romantic past, it will definitely topple your worldview. Gao Nan's character was unpredictable, and he was short-lived when it came to women. One day, he would speak sweet nothings to you, but the next day, he would toss you far away in the blink of an eye when he had a new lover. In this circle, there was no woman he couldn't get his hands on. If the woman resisted him in the slightest, he would resort to underhanded means to force her. Do you know Lin Yin? Well, wasn't it very popular a while ago? She was kept by Gao Nan for a year, and he promised her that he would use all his resources to support her. Therefore, all the A-list female stars under Qingguang Entertainment are related to Gao Nan in some way. As for what kind of relationship they have, I don't think I need to spell it out. Yun Shishir felt disgusted. It turned out that he was not only a scumbag, but also a stud horse. Chapter 883. Qin Zhou deliberately tried to scare her. After a pause, he asked in confusion, Why did you suddenly mention this person? It's nothing. I'm just asking. Gao Nan will use all means at the banquet if he fancies a woman. Sure, you're in the entertainment industry, and the waters are deep. You must know how to protect yourself. Qin Zhou advised her once more. Yun Shishir thanked him. After hanging up the phone, Yun Shishir leaned on the sofa in a daze and fell into deep thought. According to Qin Zhou, Gao Nan had a bad reputation in the industry. If he had so many women around him, why would he still want to be with Xiao Shui? To me, women only serve 2 purposes. One is a woman of equal social status. Marriage with her can expand the family's territory. The other is a woman like you, a tool to satisfy his physiological needs. Yun Shishir suddenly recalled his words. Could Xiao Shui be the first type? Did he only choose her for the sake of his family's alliance through marriage? Unable to sit idly by, Yun Shishir decided to have a good talk with her friend. At the very least, she must let her see the man's true colors. Yun Shishir initially did not want to attend the class reunion the next day. After all, the class reunion was meaningless to her. So what if the class monitor wanted to go abroad? If he wanted to have a successful class reunion before he went abroad, was she obligated to fulfill his wish? She recalled the rumors and slanders that slandered her in college, as well as her classmates' indifference and suspicion toward her. She had no feelings for her college classmates and could not even remember their names. However, at the thought of Xiao Shui and Gao Nan attending, she decided to attend the banquet despite her worries. The time was set at 7 p.m. dinner time. While Yun Shishir was choosing a dress in the wardrobe, Mu Yaja suddenly arrived. When she opened the door and saw Mu Yaja leaning lazily against the door frame, she was slightly surprised and puzzled. Why are you here? Can't I come? Mu Yaja strode in with his long legs. Seeing that she had put on makeup for the first time, he was extremely sensitive and sized her up. Are you going out? Yes. Where to? Date. Yun Shishir said subconsciously. Mu Yaja's expression immediately changed. Yun Shishir immediately corrected herself. It's a class reunion. Class reunion? Mu Yaja was obviously suspicious. According to your character, You wouldn't attend such a boring gathering. Yin Shirshir was embarrassed. Did this man know her personality so well? Because, I'll go with you, Muyaja said, not allowing her to refuse. Yin Shirshir's lips twitched. Where are you going? To accompany you. Muyaja's words were concise and comprehensive. In fact, he didn't want anything to take up her time. It was rare for him to be free, but in the end, she wanted to go to some so-called class reunion. If he had to go, then he would go. But such an occasion will be very boring. Aren't you afraid of being bored? Muyaja curled his lips and reached out to lift a strand of hair that had fallen over her shoulder, sniffing it. With you around, I won't feel bored anywhere. Oh. It didn't matter if he went. Since Gao Nan was going with Xiao Shui, it didn't matter if she followed. But if you go, there's only one condition. What condition? Keep a low profile. Oh. Muyaja raised his handsome brows. How so? Yin Shirshir fell silent. Chapter 884. She was only going because of Xiao Shui, and did not want to pay attention to other unimportant people. Okay, I'll listen to you, Muyaja said. Yin Shirshir was satisfied. She was actually quite perturbed. After all, she did not have a good impression of those classmates. She only hoped that she could pretend to be invisible when she went there. It would be best if she was ignored and left after having a meal. Her main purpose was to keep an eye on Gao Nan. It would be best if she could find an opportunity to let Xiao Shui see the man's true colors. Yin Shirshir returned to her room to choose a dress. However, the clothes in her wardrobe were all selected by Qin Zhou, which were too eye-catching. In order to keep a low profile, she specially chose a snow-white dress and a denim vest. After changing, she walked out of the bedroom and walked up to Muyaja. She tugged at the hem of her dress unnaturally. Look, is this dress okay? It's so plain? Muyaja frowned, obviously dissatisfied. It's too plain. It doesn't look good. It's not a fashion banquet. It's just an ordinary class reunion. There's no need to be so picky about what to wear. Simple is fine. Yin Shirshir thought so. Muyaja disagreed. That's true, but the clothes look good, generous and decent. Yours is too tender. At first glance, she looked like a young high school student, which did not suit her temperament at all. But the clothes in my wardrobe are too revealing. Qin Zhou picked them for me to wear to the banquet. It's not good to wear them at a class reunion. Muyaja did not believe her and personally picked one for her. However, just like what Yin Shirshir had said, the clothes in the wardrobe were all either backless or cleavage. They were all fashionable gowns for dinner parties, so they were indeed not suitable for her. Therefore, he personally took her to the shopping mall and went to the counter to pick out a socialite strapless organza dress for her. The dress was very slim-fitting and showed off her figure. The burgundy color of the dress made her snow-white skin look even more beautiful. She had a slim figure and was low-key, but it didn't lose its luxuriousness. She looked very decent. She wouldn't stand out too much at a class reunion, but she wouldn't lose her luster when standing among a group of well-dressed women. Yin Shirshir also felt that this dress was suitable. It was almost 6 o'clock. There was a traffic jam on the road at this time. It was time to set off. Thus she suggested, "Shall we take a taxi?" "Why did you take a taxi?" Muyaja was puzzled. He drove today, so why did he take a taxi? But, you drive a sports car. Wouldn't that be too high profile? The man could not help but laugh. Why are you being so careful? Because, Yin Shirshir lowered her eyes and a complicated look flashed across her eyes. However, she didn't intend to hide it and only said, "When I was in university, someone slandered me and said that I was a canary kept by a rich man. So, I want to keep a low profile and avoid those gossips. I don't want to be misunderstood." Even if she said that she didn't care about what others thought, did she really not care? When she thought of the belittling and slandering she suffered in university, she still felt a lingering fear. Those rumors and slanders really bothered her and hurt her. When Muyaja heard that, he was stunned but reached out and stroked her hair to comfort her. It's different now. Chapter 885. I'm here. Muyaja's simple words gave her a great sense of relief. Before they left, Jiangli called. "Shirshir, are you coming today?" Yin Shirshir smiled. "Yeah, I'm about to leave." "Wow. That's great. Sure, the whole class will go crazy if you come. Then she suddenly felt a little embarrassed. When are you leaving? Right away. Is it convenient for you to pick me up? Yin Sure said a little embarrassedly. There are only 2 seats in the car. I can't fit all of you. Muyaja's car was a convertible sports car with only 2 seats. It's okay, I'll take a taxi, Jiangli said. Oh, is your husband sending you there on a bike? Husband on a bike? Yin Sure was embarrassed. When she heard that the car only had 2 seats, Jiangli thought that her car was an electric scooter. See you later, Sure. Then Jiangli hung up the phone. Muyaja drove to Yongya private clubhouse and threw the keys to the security guard at the entrance. He asked him to park the car and gave him a tip along the way. Yongya private clubhouse was said to be a place for the rich to pass time. Just a membership card was enough for ordinary people to work hard for half their lives. When she walked into the private clubhouse, she saw the stylish decor and elegant lighting. Yin Sure saw Jiangli standing in front of the mural and looking at it. She called out, Jiangli. Jiangli turned around. When she saw her, she was about to greet her excitedly. However, when Muyaja stepped through the door, she was stunned. Oh my God! What a handsome man! He was like a statue of the gods, a perfect work of art. The man stood beside Yin Sure. He had a golden ratio figure, and his legs were straight and slender. He was wearing a simple white shirt and black trousers. However, even with such a simple outfit, Jiangli felt that this man's aura was terrifying. He should be a high and mighty figure. The man had fair skin, well-defined facial features, and deep, dark eyes. They were suffused with a charming luster, but they were cold and unapproachable. He had a handsome nose and extremely sexy thin lips. This was a breathtakingly handsome man. From the moment he stepped through the door, the large foyer seemed to become even more resplendent. The man had been silent the whole time. He exuded the aura of an emperor from head to toe. He was elegant and calm. At a glance, one could tell that he was either rich or noble. Jiangli could not help but find it difficult to breathe. At first, she wondered who this man was and why he suddenly appeared here. However, when she saw the man standing beside Yin Sure and reaching out to hook his arm around her shoulder, she couldn't help but be stunned. Her face was full of excitement. Sure, he's your husband. Jiangli looked back and forth between the man and her in a daze. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. He had to admit that this handsome man and Yin Sure looked very compatible when they stood next to each other. Yin Sure was about to speak, but Muyaja beat her to it. Hello. His voice was not deliberately cold, but his tone was indifferent and did not have any warmth. However, he did not deny Jiangli's suspicions. Therefore, Jiangli tacitly agreed that he was Yin Sure's husband. Chapter 886. It was not that she was not envious. Not only was this man handsome, but he also had the grace and elegance of a noble. Thinking about her husband, Jiangli felt lucky that she did not bring her husband along today. Otherwise, she would feel embarrassed when compared to Yin Sure's man. Everyone had a sense of vanity, and so did Jiangli. Seeing that Yin Sure could find such an outstanding and handsome man, Jiangli was naturally envious. Yin Sure asked, Jiangli, are you the only one here? No, I just arrived too. Lily has already sent the private room number to the WeChat group. Let's go in. Okay. The waiter immediately came over to lead the way. Jiangli had never been to such a place and felt very reserved. Hence, she quietly tugged at Yin Sure's sleeve and whispered, Sure, this is my first time coming to such a place. This place looks so classy. Is it very expensive? Yin Sure also smiled. It's my first time here too. I don't know why Huang Lily chose such a place. It makes me feel quite reserved and uncomfortable. Jiangli said sincerely. The waiter walked in front. When he heard Jiangli's words, a look of disdain appeared on his face. One look at the way this person spoke, and one could tell that he was a commoner. This was a private clubhouse with a membership system. One could not spend money here just because they had money. The prerequisite was that one had to have status to be able to enter and become a member here. The waiter brought them to the private room and pushed the door open. Jiangli had just stepped in when she was shocked by the scene that entered her eyes. She had thought that it was just a small private room. She did not expect this private room to be more than 300 square meters in size. After entering, there was a huge living room. After passing through a long corridor, there was a billiard room, a chess room, a dining room. The entire private room was extremely luxurious. It was carved with jade, and it was a gorgeous palace pavilion. The room was equipped with the most luxurious fabrics, furniture, and facilities. With the rich and lively colors, the unrestrained and grand layout, and the beautiful lines that were close to nature, it appeared luxurious, comfortable, and noble. Jiangli did not dare to show her surprise on her face. She could only admire it in her heart, but she could not help but be shocked. This was the first time she had stepped into such a luxurious place. In the living room, almost all the students in the class had arrived. Yin Shirshir held Muyaja's arm and stepped in. However, as soon as Muyaja stepped into the living room, endless exclamations could be heard. My God! Who is this man? So handsome! Who is this man? So handsome! So handsome! So handsome! His eyes are so attractive, deep and handsome. Oh my God! Is this male god a celebrity? I've never seen a more handsome celebrity than him. This man is even more handsome than Gu Xingzi. He and Yin Shirshir are standing together. They look so intimate. Could it be? A group of students immediately gathered around and greeted Yin Shirshir. Shirshir, you're here. Do you still remember my name? Shirshir, how many years has it been since we last saw each other? I've been looking forward to seeing you at the class reunion. I didn't expect you to really come today. A group of people greeted her all at once. Yin Shirshir forced a smile and exchanged pleasantries. However, it was inevitable that she was overwhelmed and felt a little awkward for a moment. After a short exchange of pleasantries, someone quickly changed the topic from her. Chapter 887. The group of people stared straight at Muyaja, obviously waiting for Yin Shirshir to introduce him. Yin Shirshir and Muyaja looked at each other, not knowing how to introduce him. Boyfriend? Husband? But they hadn't gotten their marriage certificate yet. Muyaja was also waiting for her, wanting to see how she would introduce him. Just as Yin Shirshir was feeling troubled, Huang Lili walked over, swaying her body. She had put a lot of effort into dressing up today, with her wavy hair and exquisite makeup on her face. When she was in school, Huang Lili was known far and wide as the campus belle. The reason why she was known far and wide was because there were many university branches in that area, and several schools were close to each other. Therefore, Huang Lili's reputation was well known even in other universities. Her facial features were gorgeous to begin with. Now that she had exquisite makeup on her face, purple eyeshadow, red and tender lips, and was wearing a long bohemian dress, she looked noble and outstanding. She walked slowly in front of Yin Shirshir. When the two campus belles stood face to face, the whole room fell silent. It had been 2 to 3 years since they graduated, but Huang Lili had changed a lot. She had become more sexy, more noble, and more wild. However, Yin Shirshir stood in front of her, still looking elegant and refined, as if time couldn't be seen on her at all. Time was peaceful. In the past, Yin Shirshir was the campus belle of the university. Therefore, many people, including Huang Lili, liked to compare them with Yin Shirshir. On the school forum, there were often nosy students who compared the campus belle. Usually, Yin Shirshir had the most fans. Huang Lili couldn't help but bear a grudge. The reason Yin Shirshir didn't want to attend the class reunion was because of Huang Lili. Huang Lili had a deep grudge against her. There was no other reason. When they were in school, Huang Lili had a crazy crush on a boy. This boy was handsome and was a famous campus hunk in the university. As for his name, Yin Shirshir naturally forgot about it. She only knew that, just like the melodramatic plot arrangement, this boy had once pursued her crazily. Therefore, Huang Lili was jealous of Yin Shirshir and had several conflicts with her. During her 4 years in university, Huang Lili had always been suppressed by Yin Shirshir. In terms of grades, she couldn't compare to Yin Shirshir. In terms of beauty, she was often compared to Yin Shirshir. Huang Lili had never forgotten the humiliation and bitterness she had suffered. However, things were different now. She, Huang Lili, was no longer the Huang Lili of the past. After graduation, Huang Lili got rid of her boyfriend in school and hooked up with a rich and powerful man. Now, with the help of her boyfriend's power, Her career was going smoothly, and she was only one step away from a wealthy family. Huang Lili stood in front of Yin Shishir and looked at her. Although she had a smile on her face, she was cursing in her heart. Shishir, long time no see. Huang Lili smiled and stretched out her slender hand. Yin Shishir smiled and shook her hand, but suddenly felt a sharp pain in her hand, and the smile on her face froze. Huang Lili had a polite smile on her face, but the strength she used to hold her hand was not small. It was indeed a trap. Chapter 888. Who is this? She pursed her red lips and spoke elegantly, waiting for Yin Shishir to introduce him. This is my boyfriend. Yin Shishir introduced him with a smile. Mu Yaja's expression darkened. I thought he was Shishir's husband. He's so handsome. Yeah, Shishir and her boyfriend are a good match. Yin Shishir glanced at Mu Yaja and said, but he's about to be promoted. Promoted? Promoted to husband. Shishir, when do you plan to register your marriage? Yin Shishir replied, it's not decided yet. When the banquet is held, you must send me an invitation. I'll give you a big red packet. Shishir, how did you meet your husband? Shishir, what does your husband do for a living? Yin Shishir pursed her lips and answered, he's a company employee. Employee? Suddenly someone laughed. Then, the crowd fell silent for a moment. At first, many people thought that Mu Yaja was a rich young master when they saw his noble aura. They didn't expect him to be an ordinary employee. The atmosphere became awkward. Jiang Li frowned. There were so many people surrounding her just now, talking about Shishir and Shishir. Why did the crowd fall silent when Shishir said that her husband was a company employee? That was too snobbish. So what if he was a company employee? Huang Lili seemed to want to smooth things over. However, the moment she opened her mouth, the atmosphere became even more awkward. My boyfriend started as a company employee. He's a manager now. As soon as she finished speaking, someone laughed and said, Lily, how can you compare? Your boyfriend is a rich second-generation heir. That company is your boyfriend's family business. It's different. Yeah. Lily, I'm so envious of you. If you get married to your boyfriend, then you'll be a phoenix and a young mistress of a wealthy family. Huang Lili pursed her lips into a smile and pretended to be shy. Don't make fun of me. Our Lily is going to be the young mistress of a wealthy family in the future. I really envy Lily. Unfortunately, I don't have such good fortune. For a moment, everyone gathered around Huang Lili, trying their best to flatter her. On the surface, Huang Lili looked decent and generous, but inside, she was already bursting with joy. For a moment, the limelight actually overshadowed Yin Shishir. This was the first time. There was no need to mention how pleased he was. Lily, where's your boyfriend? He's still in the company. He'll probably arrive a little later. Huang Lili smiled apologetically. Everyone go ahead and play. There's no need to wait for him. How can that be? It's all right. Let's wait a little longer. Not long after, Xiao Shui and Gao Nen arrived along with their class monitor Meng Qinghe. Meng Qinghe had just entered the private room. And the moment he saw Yin Shishir, the excitement on his face was beyond words. As soon as Gao Nen entered the room, he saw Yin Shishir sitting with an unfamiliar but handsome man. Naturally, he had never seen Mu Yaja before, so he was full of doubts. Who is this man? He seems to be very intimate with Yin Shishir. Gao Nan's gaze never left Yin Shishir. Yin Shishir did not pay much attention to him. However, Mu Yaja noticed this man. When he saw the man's gaze on Yin Shishir's body, a dangerous glint flashed in his eyes. Since they were both men, Mu Yaja naturally noticed the lust in Gao Nan's eyes. Chapter 889. In response to Mu Yaja's move, which was tantamount to a declaration of sovereignty, Gao Nan merely sneered. The two men, one standing and one standing, stared at each other with tit for tat. Naturally, Gao Nan did not know Mu Yaja's identity, but in the capital, he had never feared anyone because of his superior family background. So what if the woman he wanted was already taken? As long as he fancied a woman, Gao Nan had the means to snatch her away. Seeing Xiao Shui and Gao Nan appear, a group of people surrounded them. Xiao Shui was quite popular in class. So many people surrounded her the moment she arrived. Xiao Shui, is this your husband? No, he's my boyfriend. Aya, what's the difference between a boyfriend and a husband? We're not married yet. Your boyfriend is so handsome and tall. What does he do? I heard that Gao Nan's mother is a senior executive in Qingguang Entertainment. Gosh. Then Gao Nan must know a lot of celebrities. Gao Nan chuckled. Hehe. It's all right. Isn't there a big celebrity standing in front of you? Who is it? Everyone exchanged glances. Xiao Shui said smugly, Sure. Don't you guys usually go on Weibo? Everyone immediately cried out. We're usually so busy with work. How can we have time to check Weibo? Ah, I remember now. Isn't there a movie that's being filmed recently? It's called The Green Apple. Someone slapped her forehead, and then her shocked gaze fell on Yin Shirshir. Gosh, I remember now. Shirshir, are you filming a movie? I saw it at first, but I didn't recognize it because the style is different. The Green Apple? Ah, that's a movie starring my male god. Shirshir, are you really the female lead in it? For a moment, everyone surrounded Yin Shirshir, and their eyes were filled with amazement, envy and jealousy. Yin Shirshir majored in media, and very few people could achieve a meteoric rise. After all, the entertainment industry was full of talents, and not everyone had the chance to make a name for themselves. Yin Shirshir was the first. Huang Lili was a little unhappy when she saw a group of people around Yin Shirshir. She said sourly, Shirshir, I'm really happy that you can realize your dream. Sai, acting has always been my dream, but my Jiayan doesn't allow me to enter the entertainment industry. Why? Someone immediately asked. Lily, you've always said that you must become an outstanding actress. That's because Jiayan said that the entertainment industry is a foul place. Most of the female celebrities who come from the entertainment industry aren't clean. Jiayan was worried that I would be bullied. Jiayan's mother said that the women in the entertainment industry are all actors and are very dirty. As soon as she said this, Xiao Shui's expression changed. Wasn't Huang Lili implying that Yin Shirshir was an actress? Even though she said that the entertainment industry was dirty on the surface, she was actually insinuating that Yin Shirshir was a dirty actress. Everyone understood the meaning behind Huang Lili's words, and the atmosphere inevitably became a little awkward. Only Yin Shirshir sat in her seat without a trace of anger on her face. She was calm and composed. Chapter 890. Her words made it seem like she was trying to cover it up. Xiao Shui thought to herself, this Huang Lili is too much. She's obviously targeting me. She looked at Yin Shirshir, only to see her pursed lips smiling. You're telling the truth. Yin Shirshir blinked her bright eyes and smiled. The entertainment industry isn't as clean as everyone thinks. Your boyfriend is worried that you'll be bullied because he loves you. Hearing this, Huang Lili's ears felt very comfortable, and she felt a burst of comfort in her heart. Yin Shirshir continued, however, only those who aren't capable rely on unspoken rules to get to where they are. Huang Lili's face froze. Xiao Shui couldn't help but laugh. Even Muyaja couldn't help but smile. This little woman is so sharp-tongued. How could she be so easily bullied? Everyone's faces were full of emotions and their expressions were subtle. Yin Shirshir immediately added, Oh Lily, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to target you. Please don't take it to heart. Huang Lili gritted her teeth and pretended to be magnanimous. It's okay. It was an unintentional mistake. However, she would remember this grudge. Anyway, she had plenty of time to deal with this B*TCH. With that thought, Huang Lili suddenly chuckled. Sigh, as a woman, I don't have to work too hard. I'll be successful if I marry a good man. At least, I won't have to worry for the rest of my life. As she spoke, she reached out her hand and fiddled with the diamond ring on her finger. A 3-carat diamond ring was exposed in front of everyone's eyes. Everyone was shocked and envious. Oh my God! What a big diamond! Lily, how big is your diamond? 31 carats. Huang Lili pretended to be indifferent. However, she couldn't wait to report the decimal point accurately. It's so big. It must be very expensive. It's only a few $100,000. Huang Lili's casual tone was a stark contrast to everyone's stunned eyes. A few $100,000. Oh my God, it's so expensive. I'll be satisfied if I have a 1-carat ring. That's why marrying a good man is a woman's biggest career. As Huang Lili spoke, she cast a contemptuous look at Yin Shirshir. She did not know if she did it on purpose, but her tone was full of disdain. After all, diamonds and wedding gowns are a woman's ultimate dream. Everything else is insignificant. I'm lucky, unlike some people who spend their whole lives and still can't afford it. As soon as she said that, everyone felt awkward. She was obviously targeting Yin Shirshir. Everyone looked at Yin Shirshir, only to see her whispering to Muyaja. She completely ignored Huang Lili. Xiao Shui said, "When our Shirshir gets married, she'll have to wear a pigeon egg." Diamond? Huang, she's a diamond. To wear a diamond is to a few $100 million a diamond ring. That's right. Why not? Her boyfriend is just a company employee. I don't even know if his annual salary is more than $100,000. She must be dreaming. A girl who had always been at odds with Yin Shirshir finally seized the opportunity to say something. Yin Shirshir was even more amused. She glanced at Muyaja. Muyaja raised his eyebrows. Chapter 891. Alright. It's a class reunion. Everyone should be fine. Someone came out to smooth things over. Only then did the commotion pass. More or less everyone was present. It was just that Huang Lili's boyfriend did not show up for a long time. Needless to say, this was intentional. Someone with some weight naturally had to make an appearance at the end, right? Hence, just as the banquet was about to start, Huang Lili's boyfriend finally arrived. The moment he entered, Huang Lili immediately went up to him, hooked her arm around his, and introduced him to everyone. Let me introduce you all. This is my boyfriend, Du Jiayan. We're about to register our marriage, so I'll invite everyone to my wedding banquet. She was deliberately showing off. Those who wanted to flatter her naturally went along with it. Everyone immediately hooted and flattered her, each one louder than the last. Only Meng Qinghe's expression was ugly. Yin Shirshir sized him up. His looks were passable, but his height was only half a head taller than Huang Lili, which was considered a shortcoming. Huang Lili was 1.6 meters tall. Du Jiayan should only be 1.7 meters tall. So short. Xiao Shui whispered into Yin Shirshir's ear. Yin Shirshir patted her hand. Stop fooling around. Isn't it? Shirshir, look at Huang Lili. She's clearly using this class reunion to show off how rich her boyfriend is, and how much he dotes on her. How boring. Under everyone's flattery, Du Jiayan arrogantly entered the banquet hall. The moment he sat down, he opened a brand new pack of cigarettes and handed them out one by one. A classmate received it and was shocked. Red River. These are good cigarettes. You can't buy them even if you have the money, he said. These are Red River cigarettes. They're rarely seen in the market. When it was handed to Muyaja, he did not take it. Unlike those bowing boys earlier, he did not take it with a cold face. He did not even look at it. He was stunned. What's wrong? You're not used to smoking good cigarettes? When he opened his mouth, his teasing tone was filled with thorns. Muyaja raised his eyes and looked at him. His expression was indifferent and his eyes were as cold as ice. No. How can a man not smoke? It's fine. Shirshir doesn't like me smoking, so I don't smoke. Muyaja's expression was still cold. Huang Lili laughed and said, he's afraid of his wife. Du Jiayan was especially disdainful as he frowned and said disapprovingly, men should at least be more strong-willed. What's the point of looking at a woman's face? What? Are you really afraid of your wife? Muyaja looked at Yin Shirshir and smiled gently. I'm afraid of losing her. I'm afraid of losing her. Yin Shirshir blushed at his words. She pursed her lips and snickered. Everyone was caught off guard. They were all dumbfounded after being stuffed with dog food. Xiao Shui praised. Aya, what a good man. That's right, the wife comes first. Tiske, what good man? Is a good man like this? Du Jiayan did not think much of it and laughed contemptuously. A good man must first have the ability to support his family. Only a good man can let his wife eat and wear well, and not let her be bullied. Huang Lili rebuked. Jiayan, that's enough. Leave him some face. I haven't introduced him to you yet, right? This is Shirshir's boyfriend, a company employee. Chapter 892. Xiao Shui tugged at the corner of Yin Shirshir's shirt. Is your boyfriend really a company employee? She did not believe it. Muyaja looked noble and elegant. She would believe it if he were a rich young master. An ordinary employee? How could an ordinary employee have such an aura? Yes, Yin Shirshir said matter-of-factly. The so-called employees were the management personnel of a company. Shirshir was not wrong. The CEO was also a company employee. Huang Lili and Du Jiayan exchanged glances. Du Jiayan understood the meaning behind her gaze, so he stared at Muyaja and asked, "Friend, which company are you working for?" Dishing Financial Group. Muyaja replied succinctly. Dishing Financial Group. Someone at the table exclaimed. Anyone who can enter Dishing Financial Group is an elite. I heard that Dishing's treatment is even better than that of a civil servant. That's right. Dishing cherishes talents very much. Those who can enter Dishing are all talents. Everyone's expression changed as they looked at Muyaja. Jiangli was also very envious. In Dishing's headquarters, even a small employee's annual salary started at 300,000 yuan. Although 300,000 yuan was not considered high in the capital, it was still considered good conditions. Du Jiayan felt a little embarrassed. Huang Lili immediately nudged him with her elbow, her eyes filled with anger. He immediately coughed and said, I know Dishing Financial Group's CEO and have even met him a few times. When the time comes, I'll greet him and ask him to take care of you. The moment he said those words, he was undoubtedly putting on airs. Muyaja's eyes were a little blank. Why do I not remember meeting this person? Yin Shirshir was also stunned. She then turned to ask him secretly, Has he really met you before? No. Muyaja raised a brow. I don't know him. Yin Shirshir's lips twitched. Du Jiayan's words were really interesting. The real Dishing CEO was sitting right in front of him. As soon as he said that, everyone in the banquet hall looked at him with admiration. Brother Jiayan, do you know the CEO of Dishing? Yes. We've met a few times and played golf together. Du Jiayan said. Dishing's CEO is Muyaja, right? Yes. He nodded smugly. My relationship with him isn't bad. Muyaja frowned slightly, but he was not in a hurry to point it out. After all, this dinner party was too boring. They needed a clown to liven up the atmosphere. Du Jiayan could not help feeling displeased that Muyaja had not bowed to express his gratitude even though he had already said so much. He had already said that he wanted to greet the CEO of Dishing and take care of him. He should express his gratitude. But she didn't see any reaction from him. Huang Lili said unhappily, Yin Shirshir, your boyfriend is too inconsiderate. He won't be able to make a name for himself in the future. Yin Shirshir raised a brow and glanced at Muyaja, who was lazily propping his chin with one hand, and laughed. What do you mean by that? Your boyfriend is so arrogant. Ever since he entered the private room, he's been acting all high and mighty. He doesn't even bother to talk to him. He's too impolite. Huang Lili did not mince her words. The situation turned awkward for a moment. Chapter 893. Low Profile. Huang Lili sneered. He's just a lowly employee. How high profile can he be if he doesn't keep a low profile? Sure, it's not that I want to say this, but other than his good looks, there's nothing else about your boyfriend. You deserve better. What was the use of being handsome? Huang Lili admitted that Muyaja was a handsome man, but could his handsomeness make a living? What was the use of having a bad family background? Du Jiayan could give her wealth and status. Just look at this class reunion. When they learned that her boyfriend's Du group had started, their vanity was greatly comforted as they admired those flattering faces. Could it be seen who went to flatter Yin Shirshir? No matter how handsome her boyfriend was, he was just a lowly employee. In today's society, having power and influence was the only way to go. Huang Lili's words were clearly meant to undermine Muyaja. Muyaja raised his eyes, his cold gaze landing on her, and suddenly smiled playfully. Are you done with your performance? He spoke for the first time. His cold and magnetic voice was tinged with evil and arrogance. It was surprisingly pleasant to the ears. His voice was as charming as an orchid, and it was bone-numbing. Huang Lili was stunned as she stared at him in disbelief. This man actually dared to speak to her like this? She was about to taunt him. However, Muyaja, who was playing with the wine glass in his hand, lowered his gaze and slowly said, You just want to see me bow and flatter your boyfriend, don't you? His words exposed her. Huang Lili furrowed her brows in displeasure. After a pause, he looked up again and shot a cold gaze at Du Jiayan. His tone was frosty. If he wants me to flatter him, we'll have to see if he has the right to do so. Speaking up to here, it was time to stop. He hadn't said a word since he entered the room. That was because he treated these people as clowns who were performing an opera, and enjoyed their performance. However, this Huang Lili dared to provoke him to this extent. He had to admit that she was too bold. Du group was it. He had no impression of this small group at all. Since Du Jiayan claimed to know him, then he would meet the Du family when he had the chance. Du Jiayan's expression was extremely ugly. This man really did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Slapping Huang Lili's face was undoubtedly the same as slapping his own face. Du Jiayan was about to speak when Meng Qinghe hurriedly stepped forward to smooth things over. I say, what's going on today? The moment he opened his mouth, the smell of gunpowder was so strong. This class reunion was initiated by me, and it's probably the last class reunion I'll attend. It's rare that everyone is here, so let's be more harmonious. Don't make the situation so awkward. My original intention of organizing the class reunion was just to have everyone gather together. There's no other meaning. Meng Qinghe's heartfelt speech received a response. That's right, don't be so aggressive. It's rare for Shirshir to attend a class reunion. Don't scare her away like this. That's right, Lily. You should at least give the class leader some face. Since the class leader has spoken, we must cooperate. In fact, some people were already unhappy with Huang Lili's eagerness to show off. Everyone had just graduated a few years ago, and was struggling at death's door in society. Of course, this did not exclude those like Xiao Shui, who had a strong family background. Chapter 894. It was no wonder. Huang Lili came from a poor family. In the past, she had been ridiculed because of her poor background. Now that she was in power and had found a rich boyfriend, she couldn't wait to regain her dignity. She wanted to use this opportunity to hold her head high. Everyone had vanity. This was understandable. However, if this went on, the atmosphere of this rare class reunion would inevitably change. Du Jiayan muttered a few words before taking his seat too. The meal was considered to have begun. Delicacies were served one after another. 2 bottles of expensive red wine were presented on the table. One look and one could tell that they were expensive. Someone asked, Lily, this wine looks expensive. How much is a bottle? Huang Lili smiled when she heard this. She could not wait for someone to ask her that. This wine was a treasure from Yongya's private wine cellar. Someone had to show it off, right? Otherwise, it would be boring. Before she could speak, Gao Nan recognized it at a glance. A 96 Lafite. It's not expensive at 30,000 yuan, but the taste is top-notch. Is it expensive? Huang Lili secretly pursed her lips. This man has such a big mouth. Although she thought so, she still smiled and said, This is a treasure from the wine cellar. Lafites from 82, 86, 96, and 00 are all top-notch. Xiao Shui, your boyfriend really knows his stuff. Gao Nan smiled and modestly exchanged a few words. He had tasted Lafite many times and could taste its vintage with just a sip. He continued, Top-notch red wine must be aged in oak barrels and meticulously brewed by winemakers. There are requirements for the age of the grapes. Some wineries even select the grapes one by one. Wow. You know so much, someone exclaimed. It seems that Sister Lily has put in a lot of effort to entertain us. It's rare for everyone to get together, so of course, I have to put in more effort to entertain you. Du Jiayan generously greeted them. Everyone, don't be reserved. Order whatever you want. I'll be the host tonight. Order whatever I want? Mu Yaja casually took the menu and flipped through a few pages. Seeing him flip through the menu, Du Jiayan snorted and said, Order whatever you want. I'll be the host tonight. Everyone, have fun and drink until you're drunk. Good. Everyone cheered excitedly. Mu Yaja's eyes flashed with a deep smile. Since Du Jiayan said that he could do as he pleased, how could he not give him face? Mu Yaja immediately called the waiter over and asked, What kind of foreign wine do you have? Ha ha ha. Du Jiayan suddenly burst into tears from laughing. This was the first time he had seen someone ask such a question in a private club. Only a country bumpkin would ask such a question. Everyone looked at each other awkwardly, not understanding what he was laughing at. The waiter immediately said politely, "Hello, we have tequila, brandy, vodka. I remember that there is a winery in the Eternal Night Private Club." "Yes, sir." The waiter nodded with a smile. "The winery has a bottle of Demo 62, Wuxia said calmly. The moment he said that, Du Jiayan could no longer smile. How? How did he know that there was a winery in the Eternal Night Private Club? Indeed, the Eternal Night Private Club used to be a winery, and was later turned into a private club. What shocked him even more was that this man actually knew about the Eternal Night Private Club's treasure. Chapter 895. Wuxia gracefully said, "Bring that bottle of Demo 62 over and put it on this gentleman's tab." Demo 62 was released in 2002, and there were only 12 bottles. One of them was in the private collection of Demo's founder, Richard Patterson. Demo 62 contained 4 types of super-aged whiskeys, the oldest of which dated back to 1868. Thus, it went without saying how expensive this wine was. Du Jiayan's legs went weak when he heard this, and his face turned pale from fright. Demo 62. A bottle of Demo 62 cost 3 million yuan. What kind of joke was this? While he was feeling weak, Huang Lily, who was at the side, did not know how expensive this wine was. She deliberately wanted to show off in front of everyone, so she casually said, "Give me a bottle." Du Jiayan stared at her in disbelief. His expression was frighteningly ugly. Huang Lily, who was still oblivious, inadvertently glanced at his pale face and was momentarily stunned. "What's wrong?" she asked with her lips. Du Jiayan was already drenched in cold sweat. Wuxia clasped his hands and gently propped up his chin as he sized up the man's face, which was drenched in cold sweat, with interest. A devilish smile appeared on his handsome face as he nonchalantly said, "Since you said anything, then I'll do as I please." Du Jiayan was caught between a rock and a hard place. Naturally, he could not ruin the scene for himself, so he could only feign bravery by saying, I already said that today is a rare occasion for me to be happy. Everyone, don't be restrained. You must have fun." "Oh." Wuxia dragged out his last word meaningfully before ordering a few more dishes. He barely looked at the menu. Du Jiayan stared at his every move. He even suspected that the man had been here before for him to be able to recite the names of the dishes without looking at the menu. On second thought, it was impossible. He was just a small employee of Disheng Financial Group. How could he enter this place? If it were not for the fact that this was a class reunion, he could forget about entering this place. One had to know that private clubs were all membership-based. If one wasn't a member, they wouldn't even be able to take a single step in. Yin Shirshir secretly asked Wuxia, "Are the dishes you just ordered expensive?" "It's not expensive." Wuxia lovingly scratched her nose. "What's wrong? Are you worried about his money? How could this be? These dishes are very famous. They taste good. Every time he came, he would order them." When the delicacies were served, Wuxia put some in her bowl. Yin Shirshir tasted it, and her eyes widened in amazement. "It does taste good." Xiaoshui followed suit and took a bite. She immediately praised, Shirshir, your boyfriend has good taste. The taste of these dishes is superb." When Huang Lily heard Xiaoshui's words, she was so angry that her nose was almost crooked. She was the one who paid for everything Wuxia ordered. Why did he get to enjoy the limelight in the end? Du Jiayan, too, remained silent at the side. His heart ached at the thought of the string of numbers on the bill after today's meal. On the other hand, he grumbled about why Huang Lily chose this place. She was a little dazed when she saw his ugly expression. He lowered his voice and whispered in her ear, "Do you know how much that bottle of Demo 62 costs?" "How much?" She felt uneasy. Tens of thousands? Hundreds of thousands? He gritted his teeth. 3 million. Chapter 896. Du Jiayan could not help but glare at her angrily for making a fuss over nothing. Seeing her shocked expression, everyone could not help but ask with concern, "Lily, what's wrong?" "And nothing," she whispered into his ear. "Jiayan, are you teasing me?" "Who's teasing you?" "It's true. That bottle of Demo 62 was in the market a year ago. This man actually knows that Yongya has a precious bottle of Damo 62. It's not as simple as what your classmate said. How can an ordinary employee know about this? Huang Lili was so shocked that she was speechless. Soon, the waiter served the bottle of Damo 62. Mu Yaja was about to order someone to open the bottle, when Du Jiayan suddenly stopped him. Wait. What's wrong? Mu Yaja glanced at him coldly. Don't tell me that Master Du's heart is aching. His bluntness made Du Jiayan even more embarrassed. He laughed dryly, his face stiff. How could it be? He wanted to say something more and stop the bottle from being opened, but Mu Yaja did not give him the chance to do so. He directly ordered the waiter to open the bottle. Open it. The waiter opened the bottle without another word. At that moment, Du Jiayan's heart was about to shatter. 3 million yuan. He did not even know if he could afford this bottle of wine with all his assets today. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. They didn't know what was going on. They only felt that Du Jiayan's expression was a little strange. Huang Lili was so angry that she could not maintain the appropriate smile on her face. She was going crazy inside. This man clearly did it on purpose. Du Jiayan felt aggrieved, but the bottle had already been opened. What else could he say? She glanced at him and saw that the latter's face was ashen and purple. Mu Yaja pushed the bottle of wine in front of Yun Shirshir and said softly, "Try it. This wine should be very strong, right?" Yun Shirshir still had some lingering fear, afraid that she would get drunk with just a sip. Mu Yaja laughed. "What's there to be afraid of? With me around, it doesn't matter if you get drunk." Yun Shirshir licked her lips and thought, "Anyway, if I get drunk, Mu Yaja will be responsible for carrying me home. Moreover, it was a bottle of wine worth 3 million. It would be a waste not to drink it." Thus she took a bite. He even smacked his lips in a serious manner. There was nothing special about it. He could taste the taste of RMB. Mu Yaja asked, "How's the wine?" "It's no different from ordinary wine," Yun Shirshir said bluntly. Xiao Shui, on the other hand, laughed out loud. "Shirshir, you don't know how to drink. Everything tastes the same." Huang Lili was so angry that she was trembling. She couldn't control her emotions and said, "This bottle of wine is worth 3 million. Why is it no different from other wines?" 3 million. Everyone was stunned. A bottle of wine costs 3 million. Huang Lili snorted coldly, "Yeah. Yun Shirshir, your man is really rude. He's still inexperienced." Du Jiayan said casually, "But he ordered a bottle of wine worth 3 million. He's really a commoner." Her words were a little too much. Xiao Shui frowned and was about to speak. Mu Yaja slowly said, "Is 3 million very expensive?" "Heh. You're quite arrogant, aren't you? Don't tell me you can afford 3 million? Huang Lili sneered mercilessly. Mu Yaja casually said, "I didn't know that the wine here is so expensive. Or is young Master Du unable to afford it?" Chapter 897. In other words, Du Jiayan was boasting first. He had only accidentally ordered a bottle of wine worth 3 million yuan. His words were concise and hit the nail on the head. Yun Shirshir was tickled by Mu Yaja's vicious words, and her shoulders shrugged as she tried to hold back her laughter. Du Jiayan could not put down his pride, but he insisted, "Can't afford it? Do you think I'm you? Since I've said so, how can there be a reason for me not to pay? Since young Master Du has said so, then please ask your girlfriend not to be petty," Mu Yaja said. Xiao Shui couldn't hold it in, and burst out laughing. Huang Lili could not maintain her composure, and almost flared up. Du Jiayan suppressed his anger and pressed on her shoulders, indicating for her to calm down. Even though Huang Lili was unwilling, she had no choice but to suppress her anger. "Forget it. Anyway, 3 million yuan is just a small matter to my Jiayan." She was planning to puff herself up at her own cost and force herself to the end. The group of female classmates looked at her enviously. She had a rich boyfriend. Jiang Li, on the other hand, was a little regretful. She should not have attended the class reunion. What class reunion? It was clearly Huang Lili trying to show off that she had kidnapped a good man. Everyone began to chat after a long separation. Huang Lili was all smiles, and Du Jiayan, who was beside her, chimed in from time to time. Naturally, he wanted to salvage the situation that he had almost lost earlier. The two sang the same tune and showed off their affection to the end. Gradually, the topic turned to the two of them. Questions such as, how did you two meet? When are you getting married? Is he very good to you? And so on. Yin Shirshir sat in her seat, drinking her wine as she listened in a daze. It was nothing more than Huang Lily's personal show to show off. It was said that she and Du Jiayan met at a bar. After graduating from university, she met the man at a bar by chance. The two fell in love at first sight and shared a river of love. After dating for half a year, they got engaged. Now, she was working in his father's company and was doing well. To Huang Lily, a woman did not need to have great achievements. A good appearance was enough to have everything. Everyone expressed their envy. Huang Lily shyly snuggled up to Du Jiayan with a coquettish look. In fact, that expression was nothing more than saying, "Are you jealous of me? Are you jealous of me? I've found a good man, right?" Everyone was also very supportive and praised. "Oh, Lily is so lucky to have a handsome and rich boyfriend. The two of them are really a match made in heaven. A handsome man and a beautiful woman. What a perfect match." Huang Lily said shyly. "No, don't think too highly of me." Xiao Shui and Jiangli shivered at the same time, goosebumps rising all over their bodies. Yin Shirshir, on the other hand, had a calm expression on her face. She was minding her own business, tasting the snacks as if she had nothing to do with it. From the beginning to the end, she didn't say anything. She just silently listened to them talk, but she felt that this so-called class reunion was becoming more and more boring. From time to time, her gaze would fall on Gao Nan. Seeing Xiao Shui and Gao Nan chatting animatedly, she hesitated for a moment. Perhaps it was because Mu Yaja was present today, but Gao Nan did not say anything too extreme to her. She yawned, and Jiangli came over and said indignantly, "How boring. This woman is so pretentious. I want to leave." Chapter 898. Jiangli felt extremely inferior. She was also someone who cared a lot about her reputation. Looking at Huang Lily's smug look and thinking about her own man, she really expected better from her. The thing that women felt the most inferior about was when other women had limitless glory, while they became a haggard old woman. The desserts were served. Everyone chatted and laughed as they talked about their graduation struggles. The female classmates were all envious of Huang Lily's success as a Cinderella, while the boys felt that it was a pity. Yin Shirshir, on the other hand, was indifferent to Huang Lily's fancy flaunting. Perhaps it was because she had drunk too much, but she slightly lifted her hair, and the bright sparkle on her earlobe attracted Xiao Shui's attention. "Wow. Shirshir, the earring on your ear is so beautiful." Xiao Shui's words attracted Huang Lily's attention, and she also looked at Yin Shirshir's ear. "It's just an ordinary earring." Huang Lily often shopped at luxury goods counters, but it did not mean that she knew what was good. She did not know what was good, but it did not mean that others did not. Xiao Shui took a closer look and exclaimed, "Tiffany's stars in the sky. The counter sells it for 990,000 yuan for a pair. Shirshir, this earring really suits you. You look good wearing it." Everyone looked at her. Someone was speechless. 990,000 yuan? So expensive? How is that possible? Xiao Shui, however, said unhappily, "There's a Tiffany counter in my family's shopping mall. I often shop there. How can I be wrong?" Huang Lily was shocked again. She looked at Yin Shirshir in disbelief, feeling that she had been severely outdone. The diamond ring on her finger was 3 carats, and was only 700,000 yuan. This was the most precious gift Du Jiayan had given her. 990,000 yuan for a pair of earrings was too extravagant. On second thought, Huang Lily sneered in disdain. "I think it's a fake. How can it be real? Shirshir, it's not that I want to criticize you, but you're just attending a class reunion. Do you have to buy fake goods to make yourself look good? You can't swagger through the streets just because you're wearing fake goods worth 990,000 yuan." Xiao Shui, however, sneered. "Fake goods? How could this be an imitation? I think it's real because I really like this style, and have always wanted to buy it." The Xiao family also had shares in department stores and many luxury counters under their name. Since she said it was true, then it was true. Huang Lily's expression changed, but Xiao Shui continued. "Do you think Shirshir is like you? When he was in school, he bought fake goods to show off. Those LV and Gucci bags are as fake as they can be, but you treat them like treasures. Ha! The merciless words made Huang Lily's face flush red, as if she had eaten a fly. Xiao Shui, don't talk nonsense. I didn't buy fake goods. Those are all real. You may have forgotten, but I haven't. Don't think that you can pretend to be a socialite just because you're carrying a Louis Vuitton or Gucci bag. How embarrassing. Xiao Shui's words were like pearls. Huang Lily was so embarrassed that she couldn't bear to look at it anymore, but she still held on and said impatiently, since it's true, I don't believe that Yun Shishir can afford a pair of 990,000 yuan earrings. If it's not fake goods, then can it be real? Can she afford it? I think it's fake goods. Xiao Shui, you're Shishir's best friend, and have a good relationship with her. Naturally, you'll speak up for her. The smell of gunpowder spread again. The group of people sat stiffly in their seats. Their postures and expressions looked stiff and uncomfortable. They were probably not used to such a scene. It was too awkward. Chapter 899. Huang Lily had always regarded Yun Shishir as a formidable rival. It had been like this since their university days. Huang Lily was polite to Yun Shishir on the surface, but no one knew how much she had mocked her behind her back. The gossip about Yun Shishir in the school was spread by Huang Lily. After all, everyone in the class had a tacit understanding of this matter, but they were too lazy to point it out. Yun Shishir pursed her lips slightly when she saw everyone's secretive gazes. Huang Lily, don't compare me to you. What do you mean? You like luxury goods because they can bring you face. How inferior must a person be to scrimp and buy luxury goods to keep up appearances? Her question stumped her. Yun Shishir might have drunk too much and blurted out in a moment of hot-headedness. A person's value can't be reflected by how many expensive necklaces and clothes they wear. Today is a class reunion, and not your personal show of affection. Everyone knows that you love your boyfriend. Yes, that's right. To you, having a rich boyfriend can not only keep up appearances, but also satisfy all your vanity. However, if he's no longer so glamorous and falls to the bottom of the valley, will you still accompany him? Huang Lily's face alternated between green and red as she could not defend herself. Everyone was well aware of her vanity. Tonight, she tried her best to show off, and everyone felt tired. Yun Shishir's words made Huang Lily feel very guilty. She subconsciously glanced at Du Jiayan, who was beside her, but when she saw the meaningful look in his eyes, she stubbornly said, whether Jiayan is rich or poor, I'll accompany him for life. What a pompous speech. Wealth isn't inexhaustible after all. I think that a woman should have her own career. At the very least, it's respect for her dignity, isn't it? Xiao Shui almost slapped the table and exclaimed, amazing. Shishir, you're amazing. Her words were exactly what she was thinking. Yun Shishir smiled. Whether you like him or covet his wealth, you and he both know it clearly in your heart. However, regarding the love between the two of you, it's better to stop here, right? Today is a class reunion. Don't show off your vulgar view of love. Du Jiayan's heart was in turmoil after hearing this. How could he not know what Huang Lily wanted from him? However, now that he had exposed Huang Lily's lies, he had a different feeling towards her. Thinking back to what had happened today, Huang Lily had spent millions of yuan just to keep up appearances. If she truly loved him, would she be so extravagant? Could it be that face was not as important as him? Du Jiayan's face suddenly turned cold. Yun Shishir, to put it bluntly, you're just jealous of me. Huang Lily replied unwillingly. That's right, Yun Shishir. Are you saying that because you're jealous of Huang Lily? Another female classmate sneered. Someone's jealousy is acting up. Huang Lily is about to marry into a rich family. Someone is so envious that his heart is about to burst. The atmosphere was tense. Huang Lily glared at her and gritted her teeth. Jealous? What am I jealous of? What do you have to make me jealous? Yun Shishir retorted with interest. Was she jealous of her beauty? Or was she jealous of her so-called rich second-generation heir boyfriend? She just felt that Huang Lily was quite pitiful. Chapter 900. Xiao Shui snorted and mimicked Huang Lily's coquettish tone. How can your Jiayan compare to Shishir's boyfriend? Her boyfriend is practically a Prince Charming. He's tall and handsome. Huang Lily was disdainful and contemptuous. What's the use of being handsome? How can he compare to our Jiayan? Our Jiayan is the only heir of the Du group with a net worth of tens of millions. Her boyfriend is just a small employee. What's there to be proud of? She didn't think through her words before she spoke. Du Jiayan frowned at her words. If not for Yin Shishir's words earlier, Huang Lily's words would not have made much of a difference. However, Yin Shishir had just said that Huang Lily was with him because of his family background. When Huang Lily said these words, it was inevitable that he would feel complicated. Could it be that, like what Yin Shishir said, she was only interested in his family background? Yin Shishir smiled and gently hooked her arm around Mu Yaja's shoulder. How is being handsome useless? We have to consider the next generation. Thinking of Yu and Xiao Yichen, Yin Shishir's heart was filled with bliss. Xiao Shui snorted. Yin Shishir's words were too vicious. In other words, she was mocking Du Jiayan's genes for not being as good as Mu Yaja's. Mu Yaja could not help pinching her cheeks with doting eyes. Du Jiayan was a little embarrassed. Huang Lily was also embarrassed, but she could not refute it. Indeed, Du Jiayan could not be considered ugly, but when he stood next to Mu Yaja, he was practically at the bottom of the valley. There was no comparison at all. Huang Lily could only comfort herself. What's the use of being handsome? It's fine as long as he's rich. Yin Shishir held her forehead and suddenly felt a little lightheaded. I'm going to the washroom. With that, she stood up and left the private room. The moment she left, Huang Lily slammed her chopsticks on the table in displeasure. Clearly, she was unhappy as she crossed her arms and sulked. Lily, don't be angry. Don't stoop to her level. She's just jealous of you. That's right. She must be jealous that you have a boyfriend who treats you so well. Don't be angry. Du Jiayan's face was also extremely ugly, but he was not as flustered as he usually was to comfort her. After waiting for a long time, she did not receive any consolation. Huang Lily stared at him incredulously. Was displeased with his silence. She frowned and said unhappily, Jiayan. HM. Du Jiayan did not even raise his head, seemingly angry. Why aren't you saying anything? You don't really believe her, do you? Huang Lily snorted. Yin Shishir still has the cheek to say that? Isn't she herself as is? Lily, stop fooling around. Meng Qinghe hurried to mediate the situation. Just as he said that, Xiao Shui asked unhappily, what's wrong with Shishir? Isn't everyone here well aware of what she's doing? Huang Lily was also angry. She keeps trying to sow discord between me and Jiayan, saying that I'm greedy for his wealth. What about her? She thinks too highly of herself. Everyone in school knows about her past. Lily. Meng Qinghe could not stand it anymore, and reminded her not to make the situation too ugly. Alas, she was arrogant because she was pampered. Ever since she hooked up with Du Jiayan, no one had ever treated her this way. Thus, she did not hold back and laid all her cards on the table. She glared at Mu Yaja. The latter looked up coldly and raised a brow. Chapter 901. Do you know what happened to your girlfriend when she was studying? It's all over the school. You're not still in the dark, are you? Mu Yaja pursed his thin lips slightly as a dangerous glint flashed in his eyes. When she was still in school, she was already famous for being a beauty at a young age. I heard that she was kept as a mistress by several tycoons. She even dropped out of school when she was 18. I heard that she was pregnant and was nursing the fetus at home. A few of my friends bumped into her at the hospital. She had a big belly and was doing a fetal checkup. I heard that she was a third party. Everyone in school knows about this. Mu Yaja remained silent, but a cold glint flashed across his eyes. He raised his eyes, his gaze deep. 18 years old. When Yin Shishir was 18, his body jerked. It was that year that Yin Shishir became a surrogate for the Mu family. It turned out that this matter had spread to the school. People even speculated that she was kept as a mistress by a tycoon. Mu Yaja's eyes darkened. Xiao Shui was slightly stunned, not expecting her to be so wicked. She only heard the other woman laugh contemptuously. Why? Don't you know about this? Do you think your girlfriend is so pure and innocent? She pretends to be ignorant of the world on the surface, but who knows how despicable she is. Du Jiayan furrowed his brows. Tycoon? She's kept by a tycoon? That can't be right. Jiayan, I've never mentioned this to you before. I just wanted to save some face for someone. She continued. She once went back to school to apply for a leave of absence. She alighted from a Bentley. I saw it with my own eyes. I've come into contact with all the tycoons in the capital. Maybe I know them. Who knows? She pouted. Xiao Shui said, Huang Lili, don't speak nonsense. Everyone in class knows about this. What right do you have to say that I'm talking nonsense? I saw it with my own eyes. How can it be fake? Everyone's expression became weirder as they lowered their heads and whispered among themselves. They leaned closer to Huang Lili and asked in a low voice, Hey Lily, is what you're saying true? I thought it was all made up. What fabrication? I saw it with my own eyes. It's not baseless. Huang Lili, don't go overboard. Others may not know, but don't think that I don't know. Shirshir was never kept as a mistress, nor did she have an illegitimate child. Aren't these rumors and slanders all made up by you? Don't spread rumors. Shirshir dropped out of school because something happened at home. Xiao Shui insisted. She's always been full of nonsense. You're the only one who believes her and even speaks up for her. You believe the nonsense of someone like her? That kind of person? Xiao Shui suddenly raised her voice and slammed the table. What kind of person is Shirshir? Actually, I don't quite like Yin Shirshir. She's always alone and doesn't like to talk. She's also very isolated. She makes herself seem very melancholic and deep. She really doesn't have any personality at all. I think she's a woman who's cold on the outside but passionate on the inside. This kind of woman is the scariest. Another female classmate said. I don't like her either. She's very boring and doesn't like to talk. She sits alone in the classroom all day. This kind of woman has the most bad intentions. One look and you can tell that she's very shrewd. I don't dare to interact with her normally. Chapter 902. Xiao Shui said angrily. How can you say that? Yin Shirshir is the best girl I've ever met. She's just a little stubborn and keeps to herself. But so what? At least she's sincere. Bad intentions? Huh. At least Yin Shirshir never talks bad about others behind their backs. With that, she glared at Huang Lili. Unlike some people who only know how to spread rumors and cause trouble. Disgusting. Huang Lili sneered in disdain. Someone whistled. Oh, how touching. Huang Lili didn't say anything bad about Yin Shirshir. She only said what she saw with her own eyes. Xiao Shui, did you eat explosives today? We're not talking about you. A hint of mockery flashed across Du Jiayan's eyes before he tried to smooth things over. All right. It's rare for us to have a class reunion. Let's not spoil the harmony. Let's talk about something else. Huang Lili said to Muyaja. I think you're quite pitiful. You look like a talented person, so don't be deceived by what you see. Yin Shirshir isn't a good person and isn't clean. Some time ago, I saw Jiang Li's WeChat Moments video. Her son is already 6 years old. Of all people to be his girlfriend, why did he choose a pair of broken shoes? Muyaja's face was sullen, his eyes sharp. However, before he could say anything, crash. Xiao Shui stood up with a wine glass in her hand and splashed the expensive wine all over her face. Huang Lili was stunned in her seat. The wine poured down from the top of her head and into her eyes. She was in a sorry state. She was flabbergasted, clearly unable to believe that Xiao Shui dared to splash wine on her. Her chest heaved up and down as she fumed. How dare you splash wine on me? Broken shoes? I think you're the broken shoes. You said that Shirshir is a broken shoes, but why don't you take a look at yourself? When you were in school, you didn't go home at night, and often went to nightclubs. Do you want me to count how many men you've been taken advantage of by? Huang Lili, I don't even care to talk about this. It's disgusting to say it out loud. Xiao Shui said excitedly, her face flushed red. The situation was completely out of control. The group of people were dumbstruck. They had never expected that the situation would turn out like this. Du Jiayan also stood up and grabbed her wrist. What are you doing? Was he crazy? Are you a shrew? Let go. Didn't she see who looked like a shrew? Huang Lili, you're a mad dog biting people everywhere. Shut up. Du Jiayan glared at her threateningly. Now that Xiao Shui was splashing dirty water on Huang Lili, She was undoubtedly splashing dirty water on him. How could he tolerate this? How dare you? Gao Nan stood up angrily and pushed Du Jiayan away, shielding Xiao Shui by his side. Don't touch her with your dirty hands. What right do you have to push me? What right do you have to talk to me? Du Jiayan was, after all, young and hot-blooded. Seeing that this man did not know his place and even dared to push him, he was instantly infuriated. Do you think you're the crown prince just because I gave you some face? Gao Nan looked at him with disdain. Previously, he did not want to make things too ugly since it was Xiao Shui's class reunion tonight. However, since Du Jiayan had shed all pretense of cordiality, he would not give in to him. Gao Nan. Gao Nan immediately turned around and held her hand. He carefully checked it, and saw that the spot where Du Jiayan had held it was already red. His heart ached for her. Chapter 903. Gao Nan turned around and threw a punch at Du Jiayan. Caught off guard, Du Jiayan took the hit and fell on the table, spilling all the soup on it. Unfortunately, the white shirt he was wearing today was stained and dirty. What are you doing? How dare you hit Jiayan? Huang Lili stood up angrily and pushed away a female classmate, who had kindly handed her a handkerchief, like a shrew. Xiao Shui, your boyfriend is really good. He even dared to hit him, didn't he? Yun Shishir is really a troublemaker. Xiao Shui, are you going against me for her? What has it got to do with Shishir? Don't you dare slander her. Du Jiayan was helped up by someone. His mouth moved a little before he spat out a mouthful of blood. Gao Nan's punch had actually knocked out one of his teeth. He was furious for a moment. He looked at his dirty clothes and was instantly enraged. He raised his head angrily with a sinister expression. Xiao Shui, neither you nor your boyfriend can leave today. Why? Are you threatening me? Gao Nan's face was ashen. Fine. I'd like to see what capabilities you have and what you can do to me. Xiao Shui was touched by his protection. She wrapped her arms around his waist and glared at Huang Lili at the same time. Huang Lili, you really know how to bully people with your power. I didn't expect you to not change your nature even after graduation. I haven't settled the score with you from our university days. Gao Nan could not help feeling suspicious when he heard her say that. You two had a feud in university? Yes. She snorted. She bought a high-quality imitation Louis Vuitton bag in school. I could tell, so I said that her bag was a fake and we quarreled. In the end, Gao Nan, guess what? She actually called a bunch of hooligans from outside the school to surround me at the school gate. If not for Shishir protecting me and secretly calling the police, I might have been dragged away by those hooligans. Then Xiao Shui's anger was ignited, and she said indignantly, Humph. Later on, I heard that the leader of those hooligans was a hooligan from East Street. I heard that he was her boyfriend. Nonsense. Huang Lili pointed at her angrily. Xiao Shui, I'm warning you, you're not allowed to slander me. Why would I slander you? What good does it do to slander you? You keep saying that Shishir is a broken shoe. Why don't you take a look at yourself? How many boyfriends did you have when you were in school? How many times did you have an abortion? Do you want me to list out your bad friends one by one? I think your boyfriend is the pitiful one. I don't know how many times he has been cuckolded by you. Shishir has always kept herself clean and never hooked up with those guys. How can you compare to her? You. Huang Lili was agitated by her words. She subconsciously glanced at Du Jiayan behind her, only to see him frowning. This made her even more flustered. Jiayan, you didn't listen to her sowing discord, did you? Du Jiayan's face was gloomy, but he did not say a word. Xiao Shui, however, sneered. Why would I want to sow discord between you two? Both of you are a scourge. You two are simply getting rid of a scourge for the people by loving each other. You two are so compatible. Xiao Shui's words were extremely hurtful. She could not be blamed for losing her cool, though. Everything she said was the truth. There was no exaggeration or embellishment at all. Chapter 904. In the past, she had never missed a class reunion. She could get along well with Huang Lili. However, today, Yun Shishir was attending, yet Huang Lili went against her at every turn, and even dug up old scores. Digging up old scores? Xiao Shui was not afraid, though. Huang Lili had so many old scores that she did not mind digging through them one by one. After she finished speaking, a male classmate asked in disbelief, Xiao Shui, is what you said true? It's true. Why would I lie? You guys are the ones who have been deceived by Huang Lily's appearance. She paused for a moment before sneering and saying coldly, Huang Lily, there's a saying that's especially suitable for you. It's called, a white lotus loves a gentleman, but a green tea is a real *th. You. Huang Lily was thoroughly enraged and pounced on her friend with bared fangs and brandished claws. Gao Nan, on the other hand, swiftly pulled Xiao Shui behind him. Huang Lily pounced on him, her nails leaving a deep bloody mark on his arm. Get lost. Gao Nan pushed her away with a look of disdain. She lost her balance and fell to the ground in a sorry state. Don't touch me, it's dirty. Gao Nan picked up the wet towel on the table and wiped the area she had touched earlier. His action was undoubtedly the biggest humiliation to her, and infuriated Du Jiayan for a moment. What do you mean? Her hands are dirty, Gao Nan repeated coldly. His brashness infuriated Du Jiayan even more. The latter abruptly stretched out his leg, intending to kick him. Xiao Shui exclaimed, not expecting Du Jiayan to make a move on her. Gao Nan, on the other hand, nimbly dodged the attack with Xiao Shui in his arms. He pushed her aside and started fighting with Du Jiayan. Huang Lily was dumbfounded by the sight. Meng Qinghe hurriedly came forward to mediate the fight, but it was not a wise choice to do so at this time. He took a punch from Du Jiayan and a kick from Gao Nan, yet he still could not pull the two apart. Xiao Shui was on tenterhooks by this scene, afraid that Gao Nan would be at a disadvantage. Still, was Gao Nan someone to be trifled with? He was also half a martial artist. When he was young, he had learned judo and had some martial arts skills. Compared to him, Du Jiayan did not fare well. He took a few punches to the face and looked terrible. After a round of fighting, he was actually at a disadvantage, and was clearly at a disadvantage. Stop fighting. Don't hit me ah. The scene immediately became chaotic. In the bathroom, Yun Shirshir supported herself on the glass counter. She felt her stomach churn violently, and her stomach churned endlessly. She felt nauseous and retched. However, after trying for a long time, he didn't spit out anything. He only spat out some acid. He took some water and splashed it on his face. He didn't know if it was because of the alcohol or some other reason, but he wanted to vomit, but he couldn't. It was extremely uncomfortable. Huang Lily's ferocious and aggressive face suddenly appeared in his mind. She suddenly regretted it. This class reunion was undoubtedly a hangmen banquet. Witnessing those ugly, hypocritical, and fawning faces was extremely tiring. She took out a wet towel and gently wiped the water stains on her face. Then, she felt another bout of retching. She supported herself on the glass counter and retched. Her heart skipped a beat. She remembered that she didn't drink much today. Why, Yun Shirshir clutched her chest, her thoughts in a mess. Her period seemed to have been delayed for a long time, and there were no signs of it. Could it be? Chapter 905. She looked at her reflection in the mirror and frowned slightly. For a moment, there was a complicated look in her eyes. Her menstrual cycle had always been stable. At most, there would be a difference of 2 to 3 days. Why now could it be? Everyone stood helplessly at the side and looked at each other, not knowing what to do. Meng Qinghe glanced in Mu Yaja's direction, only to see him sitting elegantly and calmly in his seat. He slowly held the wine glass in his hand, and slowly took a sip of the imported wine. His eyes, however, did not look at the conflict on the stage at all. Instead, they were lowered in silence. It was as if he was completely uninvolved in the farce before him. He was secretly surprised. This man, at this juncture, still had the leisure to taste wine alone? However, he did not think so. Even though he was a man, he could feel that the man had a unique aura about him. Like a noble superior, he exuded an air of disdain for the rest of the world. He was different from ordinary men. Meng Qinghe was secretly surprised. He was suddenly certain that this man was not as simple as what Yun Shirshir had said. A company employee? How could a company employee have such a monarch's aura? This kind of temperament should belong to a big shot who had been in the field of fame and fortune for a long time. Only a big shot who had played with so many bloody storms would have such an extraordinary aura. At this moment, the scene was a mess. The table was half overturned, and the expensive dishes were all spilled on the expensive carpet under their feet. It was an unsightly sight. Seeing that Du Jiayan was at a disadvantage, Huang Lili could no longer watch on helplessly. She rushed forward and hugged Gao Nan's waist tightly. Her strength was not weak, and the man could not move for a moment. Huang Lili bit his arm, making him feel nauseous. Du Jiayan found the right opportunity to throw a punch at Gao Nan's face. Gao Nan was caught off guard by this swift and fierce punch, and took a step back. Du Jiayan took advantage of this opportunity to land a series of punches on him, causing him to fall to the ground. Xiao Shui, who was watching from the side, was frightened. Seeing Huang Lili use such a despicable method, she wanted to rush forward. However, she was stopped by Meng Qinghe. Meng Qinghe, why are you stopping me? Xiao Shui's eyes were red with anger. Xiao Shui, why are you losing your cool too? Don't blow things up. Meng Qinghe was so anxious that he broke out in cold sweat. How did a classmates' gathering turn into such a mess? Moreover, it was in such a place. There were many antique vases in this private room. If they accidentally broke them, there would be complications. Chapter 906. Xiao Shui pointed at Huang Lili and cursed her like a madwoman. She had completely lost her rationality. Huang Lili's face turned ugly, but she could only glare at her with gritted teeth. Do you think you're so great just because you have a rich boyfriend? Haven't you heard about the Xiao family? Huang Lili, let me tell you. Don't think you're so great just because you're related to the Du family. If you bully Shirshir, you're going against me. Going against me is the same as going against the Xiao family. The Xiao family? Du Jiayan's expression changed slightly as he looked at Xiao Shui in disbelief. Is your father Xiao Zheng? Yes. Xiao Shui held her head high. Since Huang Lili kept using Du Jiayan to suppress Shirshir, she did not mind competing with her in terms of family background. Huang Lili mocked. Xiao Shui, do you think you're being righteous? Look at Shirshir's boyfriend. Even her boyfriend isn't as agitated as you are. Everyone immediately looked at Muyaja. However, he saw him sitting calmly in his seat, fiddling with the goblet in his hand, but he was cold and didn't say a word. Xiao Shui was also a little angry. She walked up to Muyaja and pointed at Huang Lili. Aren't you angry? She insulted Shirshir like this. Are you really indifferent? Muyaja slowly downed the wine in his glass and casually said, After all, it's impossible for a man to communicate with a mad dog. Everyone was stunned. Xiao Shui's face was also colorful. Her originally aggressive face suddenly did not know whether to be angry or to laugh. Huang Lili and Du Jiayan's faces in particular were even more colorful and instantly turned gloomy. What did he say? He actually mocked them as mad dogs? Du Jiayan was a little angry. He walked up to Muyaja with his head held high and looked down at him condescendingly. He asked with a smile that was not a smile. Do you know who I am? Do you know the Du family in the capital? Du Jiayan bellowed, his aura imposing. She had suffered a loss in front of Xiao Shui just now, and now she had to get back at this man. He couldn't afford to offend the Xiao family. However, he was just a lowly employee who could be easily bullied. No impression, Muyaja said. As far as he could remember, he had never heard of the Du family in the capital. They had never heard of a wealthy family like the Du family in the capital. He was about to flare up when a waiter respectfully knocked on the door. The commotion in the private room eventually alerted Wang Chuanda. He happened to pass by and heard the argument coming from inside, so he ordered the waiter to open the door to see what was going on. Speaking of Wang Chuanda, he was the owner of this private club, and this Evernight private club was only a branch of one of his businesses. Wang Chuanda's most eye-catching identity was still the CEO of Wank Real Estate. He was famous. Wank Real Estate was one of the top 5 real estate giants in the country. Wang Chuanda was already a giant in the real estate industry with a net worth of tens of billions. In the capital, there were many high-class private clubs like this one. Evernight Private Club's predecessor was a private winery opened by Wang Chuanda to entertain business partners. Business naturally could not be done without wine. There was an unwritten rule among the Chinese that there was no banquet without wine. Later, Wang Chuanda spent a lot of money to turn the winery into a private club. Chapter 907. In fact, the economic benefits brought by this private club had always been in a state of loss. The land price was high, and the decorations were luxurious. Every decorative vase in the clubhouse was an antique that Wang Chuanda had spent a lot of money on. However, having a private clubhouse made it convenient for him to do business. He mainly relied on the clubhouse to maintain his connections. When Wang Chuanda walked in and saw the mess, he could not help but frown. He stood there with a dignified aura of someone who had been in a high position for a long time. When Du Jiayan saw him, his face immediately turned respectful. "So, it's Mr. Wang." His face was no longer as haughty as when he was facing Muyaja earlier. Standing before Wang Chuanda, he was bowing and scraping, just like a slave dog. He quickly wiped his dirty hands on his trousers and respectfully extended them to Wang Chuanda. Wang Chuanda glanced at his outstretched hand from the corner of his eye, and then looked him up and down. Seeing that his body was stained with all kinds of soups and sauces, he couldn't help but frown, but he didn't even bother to shake his hand. "Mr. Wang, do you still remember me?" Du Jiayan's tone was humble and careful. "You are. My father is Du Boxiong, and I'm his son, Du Jiayan." Du Boxiong. Wang Chuanda pondered for a moment and raised a brow. He seemed to have some impression of the name, but it was not that deep. He traveled around the Vanity Fair every day and had seen many big shots. Naturally, he did not take a small figure like Du Boxiong to heart. This name was somewhat familiar, but the Du family was at most a nouveau riche and not a rich family. Thus, it was understandable that Wang Chuanda did not take it to heart. Seeing his silence, Du Jiayan inevitably felt awkward. He put his face forward, but Wang Chuanda did not even look him in the eye. It was quite embarrassing. When Huang Lili saw this person, she muttered in her heart. This middle-aged man had a strong aura, and seemed to be either rich or respectable. Even the arrogant Du Jiayan bowed to him. She thought to herself, this man must be a big shot in some industry. Thus, she hurriedly tidied up her messy hair and rushed over. She walked up to Wang Chuanda, smiled, and winked at him in what she thought was a flirtatious manner. She followed behind Du Jiayan and greeted, "Hello, Director Wang. I'm his girlfriend, Huang Lili." Although he was smiling respectfully on the surface, he was criticizing inwardly. This man seems to be much more powerful than Du Jiayan. If not, why would Du Jiayan fawn over her and wish he could get close to her? He must be a noble figure. Wang Chuanda didn't even look at her. He had seen a lot of women like Huang Lili, who would seize the opportunity to climb up the social ladder. He had seen a lot of women like her. With just one look, one could tell what kind of person he was. How could such a woman be qualified to befriend her? Therefore, he did not take her seriously at all. Naturally, he ignored Huang Lili's fawning. It was as if she did not exist. For a moment, Huang Lili could not hide the embarrassment on her face. Being treated coldly by Wang Chuanda in front of so many people, it was naturally difficult for him to get out of this embarrassing situation. This CEO Wang seemed to have a much higher status than she had imagined. She was so cold and indifferent toward Du Jiayan. Du Jiayan still greeted him warmly, so he must be a big shot that he could not afford to offend. Thus, the smile on her face became even more flattering. Chapter 908. What's going on? Wang Chuanda walked into the private room and saw a group of people standing awkwardly. A man with a cold and stern back was sitting on the chair with a gloomy face. He was playing with the wine glass in his hand and did not ask who had come in. He was instantly displeased. Gao Nan was helped up by Xiao Shui. When he raised his head and saw Wang Chuanda, the smile on his face changed. Uncle." Gao Nan was stunned. "Uncle." Everyone present was stunned by Gao Nan's greeting. Du Jiayan in particular widened his eyes in shock and then said with displeasure, "Ha? You've got the wrong person. Let me tell you, this is CEO Wang of Wank Real Estate. Don't blindly claim to be his relative." Gao Nan looked at him coldly and could not be bothered with him as he walked up to Wang Chuanda. Du Jiayan was about to stop him when he saw Wang Chuanda's expression change, and then turn serious. "Gao Nan, why are you here?" His words shocked Du Jiayan so much that his legs turned to jelly. His whole body froze on the spot, and his dumbfounded expression looked extremely comical. What? Why did Xiao Shui's boyfriend call CEO Wang uncle? The problem is Wang Chuanda really his uncle? Wait a minute. Xiao Shui's boyfriend is called Gao Nan. Huang Lili, who was at the side, was also frightened by this scene. From the moment Gao Nan entered the room, all her attention was on Yin Shirshir. Hence, she did not ask about Xiao Shui's boyfriend's identity or background. Still, Gao Nan and CEO Wang are relatives. She was on tenterhooks, thinking that she had offended Gao Nan earlier, and that he seemed to have a powerful background. She wondered if he would settle scores with her later. The more she thought about it, the more uneasy she became. She looked anxiously at Du Jiayan, only to see his pale face. "It's my girlfriend's class reunion. I'm here with her." Gao Nan told the truth. Wang Chuanda's face was expressionless, but compared to when he faced Du Jiayan, his expression was slightly more relaxed. Speaking of the relationship between Wang Chuanda and Gao Nan, the latter addressed him as uncle, because he was his grandfather's nephew. Gao Nan's mother addressed him as cousin. Wang Chuanda was in politics in his early years. After retiring, he went into business. Relying on his connections, Wank Real Estate, which had been established for 10 years, rose to become the third-ranked real estate giant. He had always expected his nephew's expectations. He wanted to send him to the military while he was still young. However, Gao Nan's mother, who doted on him too much, refused to listen to his suggestion. After all, he only had one son. How could he bear to send him to the army for training? That would mean a lot of suffering. Wang Chuanda also dropped the matter. Wang Chuanda had always been strict with Gao Nan, so even in front of everyone he maintained a stern expression and did not smile at him. "What's going on?" Wang Chuanda looked at the messy scene in the box and questioned sternly. Gao Nan glanced at Du Jiayan and Huang Lili. He did not want to blow this matter up. Besides, it would be too embarrassing if word got out. So he said, "Well, it was a misunderstanding." Chapter 909. "Oh, I see," Wang Chuanda muttered to himself. Seeing the mess in the private room, if it were him, no matter who it was, he would naturally chase them out if they caused trouble in the clubhouse. However, for Gao Nan's sake, there was no need to be calculative. "Gao Nan, you're not young anymore. Don't always think of fooling around outside," he reprimanded. Gao Nan naturally pretended to be frightened by his elder's reprimand and nodded repeatedly. Wang Chuanda turned around and was about to leave under the escort of a group of people. Du Jiayan shot a glance at Muyaja, who had been sitting in his seat all this while, and for some reason, he suddenly stepped forward and blocked Wang Chuanda's path. Startled, Wang Chuanda glanced at him from the corner of his eye and asked coldly, "What's wrong?" "Mr. Wang, it's like this. Today is my girlfriend's class reunion. It should have been a happy gathering, but some random people sneaked in and made the scene so awkward. I think I'm doing this for your sake. A high-class place like Eternal Night Clubhouse shouldn't allow some commoners to sneak in. If they touch the expensive antiques here, won't it make things difficult for me? President Wang, please send someone to chase this person out." With that, he pointed at the man sitting in his seat and said, "It's this person. I don't know his identity, but he's the cause of today's situation." This time, he pushed the blame to Muyaja and removed all responsibility from himself. Firstly, he wanted to save some face in front of Wang Chuanda, lest the latter think that he was the one who caused the state of the room. Secondly, Du Jiayan found Muyaja to be an eyesore, and wanted to vent his anger in front of everyone by kicking him out. Wang Chuanda glanced at the man sitting in his seat, and saw that he had not said a word from start to finish. His back was cold and solemn, making him look unfathomable. He turned around, looked at him, and asked, "Who are you?" Muyaja did not reply. Wang Chuanda frowned. He had been in the business for so long, but he had never met anyone who was so rude to him. He actually ignored him. He was furious. Therefore, with a look, the bodyguard beside him immediately understood, and walked towards Muyaja. Du Jiayan gloated at their misfortune from the side, waiting to see Muyaja and Yin Shirshir being chased out of the house. He was secretly delighted. Huang Lili was also very excited. He hoped to use Wang Chuanda to vent his anger. However, just as the bodyguard walked to his side, Muyaja suddenly turned around slowly. A handsome face was exposed to Wang Chuanda's line of sight. Wang Chuanda met Muyaja's deep gaze, and was stunned for a second. Then he was shocked and immediately shouted, "Wait!" His sudden voice startled Du Jiayan. He hurriedly approached and asked respectfully, "Xiao Wang, what's going on?" Wang Chuanda did not wait for him to finish his words as he pushed him aside and strode toward Muyaja. Muyaja did not get up and continued sitting in his seat calmly. Wang Chuanda walked up to him. When he saw that it was really him, a flattering smile appeared on his face. Master Mu, you've graced us with your presence. Muyaja raised his hand to stop him. I'm here to accompany my woman. There's no need to make a fuss. Chapter 9-10. Everyone was even more stunned by this inexplicable scene and looked at each other in dismay. Du Jiayan, Huang Lili, and even Gao Nan, who was standing at the side, were stunned. Why did Uncle show such a courteous expression when he saw this man? Who exactly is this man? Gao Nan looked around cautiously and did not see anyone else. Suspecting that Wang Chuanda had mistaken him for someone else, he hurriedly walked forward and asked, Uncle, this lad is. Don't be rude. Wang Chuanda immediately stopped him. Gao Nan was a sensible person and knew how to read people's expressions. Since this man could make his uncle bend down, his background must not be simple. Hence, he knew his place and did not speak again. Mr. Wang, long time no see. Yes. I didn't expect to see Master Mu here. What a coincidence. Wang Chuanda nodded repeatedly. His earlier condescending demeanor was gone as the smile on his face was as respectful as it could be. I didn't know that you were Master Mu. Please forgive me for not coming out to meet you. Don't be so formal, Muyaja said concisely. I seem to have heard someone say that they want to chase me out. Who dares? Wang Chuanda straightened his back and looked around. He coldly shouted with a sharp gaze, Since Master Mu is here, you are my distinguished guest. Who is the blind one who wants to embarrass Master Mu? Who dares to shamelessly say that they want to chase Master Mu out? That's the same as embarrassing me. Du Jiayan was pierced by Wang Chuanda's sharp gaze, and did not dare to raise his head again. He hurriedly lowered his head and rubbed his fists with a fawning smile, clearly feeling guilty. Huang Lili looked at Wang Chuanda and then at Du Jiayan, who did not dare to speak. She looked indignant and wanted to say something, but she was pulled aside by him and softly reprimanded. Don't cause trouble. Oh. She bit her lip and lowered her head as well. Yin Shirshir returned from the washroom. Just as she entered the room, she felt an unusually solemn atmosphere. 3 to 5 men in black suits stood at the door with solemn expressions. She was startled by it. However, the moment they entered, they saw a group of waiters cleaning up the mess while a group of people sat in the living room. Huang Lili and Du Jiayan sat on the sofa, looking restless. Xiao Shui and Gao Nan, on the other hand, sat at the side. Yin Shirshir looked around, but did not see Muyaja's figure. Seeing her return, everyone looked at her with complicated gazes. However, in their eyes, Yin Shirshir saw an inexplicable reverence. What's going on? As soon as Xiao Shui saw her, she immediately greeted her. Shirshir, why were you gone for so long? Where did you go? I'm in the bathroom. I don't feel well. Yin Shirshir paused for a moment before explaining. You know, I'm not a good drinker. It's getting to my head. Yes. What's going on? Why is the table overturned? What happened? Shirshir, it's a good thing you weren't here just now. Huang Lili took advantage of your absence to badmouth you in front of your man. Huang Lili's face was filled with panic as she sat on pins and needles. Xiao Shui, don't talk nonsense. She was still arrogant toward Xiao Shui earlier, but once she learned about the relationship between Xiao Shui's boyfriend, Gao Nan, and that big shot, she became even more polite to Xiao Shui. Chapter 9-11. Xiao Shui stopped abruptly. She realized that her words would only hurt Shirshir even more, so she quickly stopped herself. Shirshir, anyway, she said a lot of bad things about you. So you two fought? Yin Shirshir narrowed her eyes. Thinking about it carefully, Xiao Shui had always been impulsive and righteous. If Huang Lili were to badmouth her in front of her, the latter would naturally not buy it, and would definitely go head-to-head with the latter. Yin Shirshir then looked at the mess on Du Jiayan and Gao Nan, and was confused. Xiao Shui briefly recounted what had happened earlier. Yin Shirshir was speechless. Xiao Shui, you're too impulsive. A mad dog bites people. Can you stoop to the level of a mad dog? Xiao Shui was stunned for a moment before she was amused by her words and laughed heartily. What's the matter? Yin Shirshir looked at her, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Xiao Shui retorted. Your man said the same thing to you earlier. With that, she imitated Mu Yaja's noble and cold expression and coldly said, After all, a man and a mad dog can't communicate. With that, she collapsed on top of her in laughter. Yin Shishir laughed as well. These words were indeed Mu Yaja's style. Just the thought of him spouting such vicious words with a cold and elegant face was enough to make her want to die of amusement. They were laughing. However, at this moment, everyone wanted to laugh but did not dare to. After knowing that Yin Shishir's boyfriend's background was not simple, they felt a great distance between them. Some female classmates who did not get along with her were jealous to the bone. However, they could not show it on their faces. Yin Shishir finished laughing and surveyed her surroundings with a puzzled look. Where is he? He and Mr. Wang are in the private conference room. Xiao Shui pointed to the closed door at the side. It was a small conference room. Mr. Wang? Who is that? What a coincidence. Mr. Wang is Gao Nan's uncle and the CEO of Wank Real Estate. I didn't expect to meet you here today. After a pause, Xiao Shui suddenly asked, Sure, who is your man? I think Gao Nan's uncle is very polite in front of him. I heard uncle call him young Master Mu. Gao Nan suddenly furrowed his brows and asked, Sure, who exactly is your boyfriend? Yin Shishir raised her eyebrows but didn't want to talk to him. Huang Lili also asked anxiously, Sure, there were many misunderstandings earlier. I hope you don't mind. After what had just happened, Huang Lili no longer dared to find trouble with Yin Shishir. The disdain on her face was gone and replaced with respect. I didn't know your boyfriend had such a high status. But didn't you say that your boyfriend is a company employee? Why did CEO Wang change his expression when he saw him? Huang Lili was still in a daze. She still couldn't react. Earlier, Wang Chuanda looked at Du Jiayan with disdain. When he was in front of Mu Yaja, he acted like a grandson. However, this couldn't be said openly. Earlier, Wang Chuanda carefully invited Mu Yaja into the conference room because he had a business deal to discuss with him. Mu Yaja did not refuse. At least, this was Wang Chuanda's territory, so he gave him some face. Yin Shishir spread her hands. Yes, he is a company employee. But, Huang Lili, you don't have much knowledge and experience. Yin Shishir explained matter-of-factly. A CEO is also a company employee. Huang Lili's face instantly turned awkward. Everyone sighed inwardly. Chapter 9:12. Yin Shishir's boyfriend was the company's CEO. Yet she was not as ostentatious as Huang Lili. Compared to her, the latter was too vain. What's your man's name? Xiao Shui asked nosily. Gao Nan frowned and said, I heard my uncle address him as Master Mu. In the capital, there's no one else who can make my uncle address him as Master Mu, other than the Muse. The moment he said that, Du Jiayan's face turned even gloomier. Everyone started whispering among themselves. It can't be right? Mu Yaja. I've heard of this name before. I heard that he's the capital's Mu family's CEO, Dishing Financial Group's. Gosh. It can't be. Dishing Financial Group CEO. I heard Yin Shishir's boyfriend say that he's an employee of Dishing Financial Group. Although his surname is Mu, he might be Mu Yaja's cousin. Just like Xiao Shui's boyfriend and that CEO Wang just now, they might not be Mu Yaja himself. Earlier, Huang Lili's boyfriend said that he knows Mu Yaja and even played golf with him. Why does it seem that Yin Shishir's boyfriend doesn't know him though? That can't be. Yin Shishir's boyfriend can't be Mu Yaja, right? Didn't Du Jiayan say that he knows the Mu Group CEO? If it's really Mu Yaja, how can he not recognize him? The crowd continued to talk among themselves. Feeling his face burning, Du Jiayan cautiously asked, Yin Shishir, is your boyfriend Mu Yaja? If it's really Mu Yaja, Du Jiayan thought of how he had shamelessly boasted that he had met Mu Yaja a few times and even played golf with him. He even said that he wanted to greet Mu Yaja and take care of him. Heavens, how could he have seen it for real? This was just ting. Then, if Yin Shishir's boyfriend was really Mu Yaja, then wouldn't he be embarrassed? At this thought, Du Jiayan's face turned white as he fidgeted uneasily. He wished he could dig a hole in the ground and bury his face in it. Yin Shishir ignored him. He sat down on the sofa. The waiter brought her some desserts. Huang Lili was also hungry. Due to the farce just now, She didn't have time to fill her stomach, so she shamelessly went to get some food. The waiter politely refused. "I'm sorry, madam. The dessert was prepared by CEO Wang for Miss Yin." Huang Lily's lips twitched as she swallowed a mouthful of dust. Xiao Shui held her stomach and laughed. "Huang Lily, you still have the face to eat. Take your dirty hands away, it's disgusting." Huang Lily was furious, but she didn't dare to say anything. She could only retract her hand. In this class reunion, she had really lost all face. Gao Nan, on the other hand, had mixed feelings. Initially, the reason he came to the class reunion was mainly because of Yun Shirshir, but tonight, she brought a man along. He thought that it was because of the previous incident, so he specially brought a bodyguard to protect her. However, when he found out about this bodyguard's mysterious identity, the capital's Mu family, this man turned out to be Mu Yaja. His heart was filled with mixed feelings. In the beginning, he was determined to get Yun Shirshir. After all, he would use all means to get any woman he fancied. As for Yun Shirshir, he was determined to get her and saw her as his. However, her man turned out to be Mu Yaja. Did they have a close relationship? Chapter 913. It turned out that Yun Shirshir was his woman. In that case, Gao Nan's confidence was dwindling. There was no way he could win against Mu Yaja. After all, no matter how one looked at it, Mu Yaja's status was much higher than his. How could he compete with him? Was he delusional enough to think of snatching a woman from him? Still, Gao Nan felt indignant at the thought of it. He did not know much about Mu Yaja, but he knew that the Mu family was a powerful and influential family in the capital. In that case, Mu Yaja must be a big shot. Forget it. Men, after all, always had some bad habits. Did he not know what kind of character men had? What kind of person was Mu Yaja? How could he be faithful to Yun Shirshir? He was probably just fooling around with her. That was what he thought. It was impossible for an influential man like Mu Yaja to fall in love with any woman. Women were just for fun. What about having only one heart for a lifetime and never leaving each other's side? Those were just words used to deceive little girls. Was there such a thing as being faithful in this world? Ha! Especially for someone like Mu Yaja, who could command the wind and rain, there was no way he would be faithful to just one woman. As a man, he guessed that Mu Yaja was only interested in Yun Shirshir on a whim. He would get tired of her sooner or later. In that case, why not wait until he was tired of playing with her, and then get her in his hands? At that time, he could play with her however he wanted, and there would be no more worries. Now he could only wait patiently. Once Mu Yaja was done, it would be his turn. Wouldn't it be more fun to play with a woman Mu Yaja had played with? In the conference room, Mu Yaja sat in the boss's chair lazily. Wang Chuanda told him about a development project he was working on. He planned to develop a new building, but before that, he had to win the bidding rights for this piece of land. This piece of land was a golden resource. In order to obtain the right to bid for this piece of land, it was necessary to establish a relationship with the main government. Wang Chuanda's mother was the sister of Gao Nan's grandfather, who was one of the founding fathers of the central government. However, although he was one of the founding fathers of the country and had a prominent position, he was still old and had long retired from the political scene. He no longer had any real power in his hands. In some aspects, his words naturally did not carry much weight. However, the Mu family was different. Mu Linfeng was Mu Yaja's fourth uncle. He had a military background and was very powerful. If he could work with the Mu family, he would definitely win the bid for this piece of land. Dishing Financial Group's financial strength was also very strong. If the Mu Group could clinch this cooperation, then the future prospects of this project would be extremely bright. Previously, Wang Chuanda had always wanted to meet Mu Yaja to discuss the development project. However, Mu Yaja had a lot of work to do, so he had to postpone the meeting again and again. Now that he had the chance to meet him here, of course, Wang Chuanda would not let it go so easily. The Mu family was rich and had a military background. If he could work with the Mu Group, he would be more than happy to see it happen. In terms of profits, Wang Chuanda was also very generous. He claimed that if the Mu Group was willing to open up a channel for Wan Ku, the profits would be at least 10 figures. 10 digits was already a considerable figure. It seemed that Wang Chuanda had gritted his teeth and put in a lot of effort to win the cooperation with the Mu Group. Wan Ku is going to bid for this piece of land just to build a villa? Chapter 914. Mr. Wang, you should know that the real estate companies under the Mu Group specialize in villa development. You said that you want to develop this land into an eco-villa park, but forgive me for being presumptuous, but in my opinion, Wan Ku Real Estate can't compete with the Mu Group when it comes to eco-villas. Am I right? His words were arrogant, but they did not lose their decorum. Especially in front of Wang Chuanda, Mu Yaja actually addressed himself as a junior. It was obvious that he respected the man. It was not that Mu Yaja was arrogant. The Mu Group's real estate company was the #1 in the industry. It was unquestionably the leader and monopolized half of the real estate industry. In the real estate industry, Mu Group had always been working hard on the development of villas. Recently, a project under Mu Group's real estate, Yinshan Shi, was about to open for business. Yinshan Shi was the most high-end ecological villa in the capital city. Wan Ku was indeed unable to compete with the Mu Group when it came to villas. However, even if they had the confidence to build a villa park that was more high-end than Yinshan Shi, wouldn't they become the Mu Group's competitor? How could Mu Yaja allow others to take a share of the pie? The Mu Group would never cooperate with a competitor. The meaning behind Mu Yaja's words was simple. The Mu Group had always been in control of the villa industry and would not allow other real estate companies to infringe on it. Wang Chuanda was shocked by his boldness. The man in front of him was young, aggressive and arrogant but not rude. When he compared him to his nephew, he found that the two were simply incomparable. The student had surpassed the master. Every time he dealt with Mu Yaja, even though he was a sly old fox, he could not gain any advantage. The land that you have your eye on is Golden Osmanthus Garden, right? Yes, that's right. The Mu Group has taken the land next to Golden Osmanthus Garden and intends to turn it into a trade center. Since the garden is in a good location, the Mu Group will develop more eco-villas there in the future. If you're interested, why don't we work together? Okay. Then it's settled. Wang Chuanda laughed. Mu Yaja suddenly asked, "Is that Gao Nen your nephew?" When he said that, Wang Chuanda's face suddenly changed. He immediately became serious and asked carefully, "Young Master Mu, did I offend you in some way?" Huff! He snorted coldly but didn't speak. Only his pair of eyes faintly chilled. Wang Chuanda had been in the world of fame and fortune for a long time, and his mind was astute. He also knew how to observe people's expressions. Seeing Mu Yaja's expression, his face suddenly broke out in cold sweat. He guessed that his disappointing nephew must have offended this big shot, so he immediately lowered his face and apologized first. However, he had no idea how Gao Nen had offended Mu Yaja. Under his shameless questioning, Mu Yaja slowly opened his mouth. "That nephew of yours doesn't know how to behave." "Oh. What does young Master Mu mean by this? Why don't you tell me? If this brat does anything wrong, I will definitely teach him a lesson." Chapter 915. Mu Yaja's words were clear, but they were a little harsh. Wang Chuanda broke out in a cold sweat. His nephew was talented and had his own ideas, but he was still a young man. Wang Chuanda was busy with work, but he would occasionally hear rumors in the circle. His nephew did not have any other shortcomings, but he was especially promiscuous. This seemed to be a deep-rooted bad habit of many men, but it was especially carried forward by Gao Nan. Gao Nan must have been blind and offended Mu Yaja. "Is it because my disappointing nephew offended young Master Mu's woman?" he asked vaguely. Mu Yaja was non-committal as he cast a sidelong glance at him coldly. Wang Chuanda's guess was confirmed in his eyes, and he immediately said solemnly, "Master Mu, I'm really sorry. That lad has been spoiled by my cousin. I thought that he should be more careful now that he's old, but I didn't expect him to get worse. Don't worry though, I'll definitely teach him a lesson later." After saying that, he did not forget to put in a few good words. "Master Mu is young and promising. If my disappointing nephew can be half as good as you, I'll be gratified." When Mu Yaja and Wang Chuanda walked out of the conference room, the people outside had been waiting for a long time. However, they all had a tacit understanding and did not dare to complain. Huang Lili and Du Jiayan were the first to stand up, looking uneasy. Du Jiayan in particular looked at Muyaja's cold face and nervously rubbed his palms. He wanted to go forward to greet and exchange a few words to at least resolve the awkwardness from earlier. However, seeing Muyaja's cold face, he did not dare to go forward. Huang Lili nudged him and secretly reminded him. What should we do? Did we offend someone? You still dare to say it. Isn't it all because of you? At the mention of this, Du Jian got angry. If not for you, would you have offended so many people? Muyaja walked to Yin Shishir's side and hugged her waist, gently asking, Did you wait long? No. Muyaja's thin lips hooked up, and he gently planted a kiss on her forehead. The pampering in his eyes was almost pinched out of water. At the side, Huang Lili's eyes were so red that they looked like they were about to bleed. Previously, when she had first met Muyaja, she had felt that it was unfair. This man's handsomeness was almost godlike. However, she thought about it later. What was the use of being handsome? What could a small employee do? However, things were different now. Looking at how respectful Wang Chuanda was to Muyaja, she felt that she could not be compared to Yin Shishir. What? What was so good about Yin Shishir? How could she always gain the favor of such outstanding men? It was like this in university, and it was still like this now? He was so jealous that his heart was about to be pierced. Wang Chuanda glanced at Gao Nan, only to see him staring fixedly at Yin Shishir. The ambition in his eyes was undisguised. This further confirmed his guess. This lad actually dared to covet Master Mu's woman. He must have eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's guts. He took another look at Yin Shishir and was equally amazed by her beauty. No wonder Master Mu and his nephew were so infatuated with her. This woman indeed had the ability to bewitch people. She was a seductive vixen. It's getting late. Let's go home, Muyaja said to her. The farce had ended here. It was time to end it. As for Du Jian and Huang Lili, he would deal with them. Chapter 9:16. Surrounded by the crowd, Muyaja hugged Yin Shishir and was about to leave when Du Jian finally mustered up his courage and stepped forward. Muyaja glanced at him from the corner of his eye, but ignored him. His gaze froze everything around him. It directly froze the movement of his feet. Du Jian was intimidated by his gaze. He did not dare to take another step forward. Muyaja calmly left with Yin Shishir in his arms. Before leaving, Yin Shishir looked back and smiled. Suddenly, she thought of something and turned to speak to Muyaja. Muyaja nodded and waited for her outside the door. She turned around and walked over. Du Jian saw her walking over and immediately went up to her with a fawning face. However, he missed as Yin Shishir walked up to Meng Qinghe and looked at him. Class monitor, I heard that you're going overseas. I was in such a hurry that I didn't have time to prepare a gift. He immediately waved his hand. Shishir, you're too polite. Why would I need a gift? Thank you. Yin Shishir pursed her lips to express her gratitude. Meng Qinghe was a little confused. What's wrong? Why are you thanking me all of a sudden? I didn't have many friends in university, but you've always taken care of me. I feel that it's a pity that you're going overseas, so I prepared this. With that, she opened her handbag and took out a neatly wrapped gift. Meng Qinghe did not know what it was, but he took it in a daze. Meng Qinghe had a crush on Yin Shishir during their university days. She was beautiful, pure, gentle, and outstanding in her studies. He had always regarded her as a goddess that no one could replace. At that time, there were a lot of rumors about Yin Shishir, and the whole class did not like to be close to her. However, he believed her and even said to her, Shishir, don't care about those rumors. I believe in you. Yin Shishir had never had the chance to express her gratitude for his trust. Hence, this was one of her goals for attending the banquet tonight. I haven't had the chance to thank you. I hope you'll like this gift that I made myself. With that, she smiled and turned to leave. Du Jian wanted to chase after her to explain himself, but Yin Shishir completely ignored him. Meng Qinghe watched her leave, and the corners of his mouth curled up. He didn't have too many regrets about this class reunion. At least, he had a perfect ending to his youthful and obscure crush. At least, he could give himself an explanation. He lowered his head to look at the gift Yin Shishir and caressed it with his fingertips. His eyes uncontrollably teared up. Xiao Shui leaned over and asked with a smile, Class rep, Open it and see what Shershur gave you. Go away. He laughed and pushed her away. Seeing the expression on his face, Xiao Shui could not help but ask in surprise. Class rep, don't tell me, you have a crush on Shershur? No. Meng Qinghe frowned. Yes, yes, yes. In the midst of their frolicking. Soon, the waiter came over with the bill and handed it to him. He glanced at the bill and saw that it was 1 million yuan. His eyes almost blurred as his legs gave way and he collapsed to the ground. Huang Lili also went forward to take a look. She was so shocked that her face turned pale. Oh God. 1 million yuan. How many Gucci bags could he buy with that? When Meng Qinghe walked out of the private clubhouse, he sat in his car and opened the gift. Chapter 917. It was a graduation photo. However, there were traces of Photoshop. In the corner of the crowd, Yin Shershur's graduation photo was photoshopped. When they graduated, Yin Shershur only took a single graduation photo before leaving in a hurry. She did not even take a group photo with her. Without her, the graduation photo in the class could not be considered a complete one. Yin Shershur then photoshopped herself into a complete graduation photo. This was a small token of her appreciation. Meng Qinghe covered his mouth as tears of love rolled down his cheeks. Shershur, thank you, she would always be the goddess in his heart. When they left the private clubhouse, Gao Nan was about to send her home when Wang Chuanda called to summon him. He hung up the phone and said to her apologetically, Is it all right for you to go home alone? She reacted and immediately felt aggrieved. Aren't you going to send me home? My uncle said that he wants to see me and is waiting for me. I think something must have happened. You can drive my car home. I didn't bring my driver's license. She pursed her lips but did not want to make things difficult for him, so she said, How about I take a taxi home? Her words could not hide her regret. He immediately hugged her and kissed her forehead, saying guiltily, I'm sorry. I'll definitely make it up to you next time. All right. Your uncle must have something important to talk to you about. I should be more considerate of you, she said. His lips curled into a smile. Her thoughtfulness moved his heart. Xiao Shui, after all, was different from those women. At the very least, she knew how to be considerate of him. He accompanied her until she got into the car, and specifically instructed the driver to send her to the door before letting her go. He turned around and walked into the private clubhouse. In the office, Wang Chuanda was sitting in front of the carved tea table, sipping his tea as if he had been waiting for him for a long time. Uncle, I'm here. Gao Nan smiled and called out before turning to close the door. Crash. A teacup flew toward him and landed at his feet, shattering into pieces. The sudden noise gave him quite a fright, causing him to jump in fright. Turning around, Gao Nan saw Wang Chuanda sitting at the tea table with an angry look on his face. The anger in his eyes was terrifying. It was the first time in his life that he had seen his uncle look at him with such a terrifying gaze. He immediately asked with some fear and uneasiness, Uncle, what's wrong with you? You still have the cheek to ask me what's wrong. I'm going to lose all my face because of you. Wang Chuanda was so angry that his facial muscles were twitching. Right now there were no outsiders. In front of Gao Nan, there was no need for her to maintain her high and mighty demeanor. Her anger, which she had suffered at Mu Yaja's hands, turned into anger, and she vented it all on him. Gao Nan was baffled, but his mind was meticulous. After carefully reflecting on it, he smiled and walked to his uncle's side. Placing his hands on his shoulders, he rubbed them. Uncle, don't be angry. I know I shouldn't have attended such a low-class banquet, but I'm doing this to accompany my girlfriend. I won't do it again. You have a serious girlfriend? Wang Chuanda didn't believe it when he said it. Gao Nan was a womanizer with countless women around him. He would be a fool to believe him. You've met that Xiao Shui from the Xiao family in the capital. The Xiao family. Chapter 918. The Xiao family in the capital was rather famous. He had heard of them but had never come into contact with them. Wang Chuanda narrowed his eyes slightly and contemplated for a moment before asking, Is her father Xiao Zheng from the Xiao group? The Xiao family's reputation in the industry was quite good. It would be best if the Gaos and Xiaos were to unite through marriage. What the rich and powerful clans cared about was matching the social status of the two families. It was better than those women in showbiz. At least, she was innocent. Yes. When did you get into a relationship? Just over half a month ago. Wang Chuanda pondered for a moment, and the anger in his eyes subsided a little. Gao Nan could have a proper girlfriend, and only then did his expression soften a little. It's not that I want to nag at you, but you're not young anymore. Your mother has been nagging me about your marriage. As a man, at your age, it's time to settle down and start a family. Don't keep getting entangled with those women in showbiz. I think this girl is not bad. Find a good day and bring her home to meet your mother so that she can feel at ease. Yes. Still, isn't it a little too early to settle down and start a family? Gao Nan wanted to avoid marriage at all costs. The thought of it gave him a headache. He was still young. Why should he get married so early? Wang Chuanda reprimanded him. Early? You're almost 28 and will be 30 soon. Is it too early? You should settle down early. Your grandfather has been nagging about having a great-grandson every day. Now that you're married, he'll also settle down. Gao Nan did not want to deal with this matter further, so he brushed it off with a few perfunctory words. He thought that this was the reason why Wang Chuanda was looking for him. However, he heard Wang Chuanda say sternly, "What's going on between you and young Master Mu? He's already complained to me. Let me warn you first, young Master Mu's people, don't try to do anything funny, and don't try anything funny. Young Master Mu is not someone you can afford to offend." Gao Nan quickly understood. Did Mu Yaja say something to you? Wang Chuanda fumed. Be more respectful. Are you qualified to call him by his name? Gao Nan, on the other hand, was unconvinced. He and Mu Yaja were of the same age and generation. What was wrong with calling him by his name? Wang Chuanda seemed to have read his mind. Seeing the unconvinced look on his face, he snorted coldly and said, "Don't make such a face. It's not that I'm looking down on you, but you're also 28 years old. How can you compare to him? I don't even have the face to tell others. Look at young Master Mu. He's young and promising, and he's already a big shot in the capital. And look at you. Sai, I don't need to scold you. If you call him young Master Mu in front of him, it's because of me. Otherwise, Uncle." Gao Nan was speechless. How can you insult your nephew like this? I'm just warning you. From now on, you're not allowed to offend young Master Mu's people. Do you understand? Wang Chuanda's gaze was sharp and his tone was firm. Regarding this matter, he did not go overboard. His harsh words were meant to give him a strong dose of medicine. Otherwise, if he continued to let this brat go on like this, who knew what kind of trouble he would bring to himself? I know. Gao Nan's face was perfunctory, but he was not going to give in obediently. He would wait until Mu Yaja got tired of the woman he fancied before he played with her. Anyway, it was impossible for him to give in obediently. Still, he could not let Wang Chuanda know what he was thinking. Chapter 919. Yay. We're home. When they reached home, Yin Shirshir threw her bag aside and threw herself onto the soft sofa in her high heels. She did not look like a goddess at all. Mu Yaja closed the door and walked to the sofa. Just as he sat down, Yin Shirshir snuggled into his arms and hugged his waist. She buried her face deep into his warm embrace. Mu Yaja gently stroked her hair on her forehead. His slender fingers slowly twirled a lock of hair around her temples, and then gently released it. He leaned against his body lazily, and held the side of his head with one hand as he twirled her hair around his fingers. His jet-black hair contrasted with his fair skin. It was as if this was very interesting, and he could not bear to let go. Yin Shirshir seemed to be tired and let him play. In the bedroom, Yu and Xiao Yichen looked at each other in surprise when they heard the door open. Mommy is back. Yes. She must be. Thus, the two little guys opened the door and ran into the living room. However, Xiao Yichen's sharp eyes caught sight of Mu Yaja hugging Yin Shirshir on the sofa. He immediately turned around and carried Yu back. Yu felt a blur in front of his eyes before he was carried back by Xiao Yichen. Just as he was about to speak, Xiao Yichen covered his mouth with his chubby little hand and signaled him to keep quiet. Shu, what are you doing? Daddy and Mommy are hugging each other. Xiao Yichen was so excited that his face was flushed red. What? Yu's expression changed, and he wanted to go to the living room. Xiao Yichen immediately pulled him back. He was very strong and pulled him back in an instant. Yu looked unhappy. Muichen, what are you trying to do? You can't ruin Daddy's plans. Xiao Yichen pouted. It's rare for me to see Daddy and Mommy making progress. You can't mess things up. Yu was speechless. Yu. Xiao Yichen blinked innocently at him. You couldn't do anything to him. I'll just watch. I won't cause any trouble. You said it. Yu closed his eyes and sucked in a deep breath. Yes. I said it. Pinky swear. Xiao Yichen was still in disbelief. She gave him the finger. Yu's patience had reached its limit. Muichen. Pinky promise. Xiao Yichen ignored the impatience on his face and hooked his pinky. Yu pursed her lips and gave him a tug. The two little lads then tiptoed behind the wall and sneaked a peek at the sofa. Hey. Yun Shirshir looked up at him and gently poked the man's chest with her finger. Muyaja raised his eyebrows and glanced at her. What's wrong? Was today's class reunion boring? Muyaja pondered for a moment. No. Yin Shirshir's eyes widened in disbelief. I thought you would find it boring. Isn't it interesting? Your classmates are really interesting. Yin Shirshir nestled in his arms and rubbed her fingertips. She was obviously a little uneasy. She remembered that Xiao Shui had said a lot of bad things about her when she went to the bathroom. Even if it was untrue, he still heard it. He didn't ask her about it along the way, so she didn't know if he heard it. Muyaja saw her complicated expression and pursed lips. He didn't know what she was thinking about. He couldn't help but pinch her cheeks. What are you thinking about? I'm thinking. Yin Shirshir pondered for a moment and decided to ask about it. Chapter 920. She stared at his face, not wanting to miss the slightest change in his expression. Muyaja frowned slightly, but he did not try to hide it. Yeah. Did you say that I was kept by someone when I was in university? Yin Shirshir tried to probe further. Muyaja frowned slightly. Yeah. Then you. Yin Shirshir looked extremely conflicted. Suddenly she asked, do you believe it? What do you think? Muyaja raised his eyebrows. Clearly, he felt that her question was unnecessary. I don't think you'll believe it, Yin Shirshir said. Only someone as stupid as you would believe such a clumsy rumor, Muyaja said bluntly. Yin Shirshir smiled. That's right, that's right. Halfway through her sentence she stopped abruptly. Yin Shirshir suddenly realized that he had actually attacked her intelligence. The smile on her face suddenly disappeared, and she glared at him angrily. However, when she saw that he could not hide the smile on his face, she became even angrier. She complained unhappily, Hey, you're even attacking me? Since when did I attack you? You just said that there's something wrong with my intelligence. That's the truth in front of you, stupid woman. Muyaja felt that her reaction was too slow. Her reaction was so slow. How am I stupid? Yin Shirshir defended herself. If I'm stupid, how could I have given birth to such a smart baby like Yu? Yu, who was hiding in the corner, felt extremely satisfied when he heard this. He straightened his body slightly and brushed his bangs shamelessly. Xiao Yichen glanced at him from the corner of his eyes. This younger brother of his was quite shameless. Muyaja, who was sitting on the sofa, asked in all seriousness, Are you sure that he inherited your genes? What else could it be? If you weren't so stupid, you might be smarter, Muyaja said from the bottom of his heart. Yin Shirshir was deeply hurt. She wrinkled her nose in grievance and pouted her lips high. How am I stupid? How am I stupid? I'm very smart, okay? Praise me. Quick, praise me for being smart. Yin Shirshir refused to admit defeat. She started messing around in his arms, pounding his chest with her small fists. She was acting coquettishly towards him. It was rare for her to act coquettishly, but when she did, she had her ways. The man was quickly defeated. Okay, you're smart. Muyaja was too lazy to lower himself to this little woman's level, so he coaxed and lied to appease her. You don't really mean what you say. Looking at Yin Shirshir's tangled little face, Muyaja intimately rubbed the tip of her nose, then planted a kiss on the corner of her lips. His deep eyes met hers. I just like your stupidity. He just liked her clumsy appearance. She was so cute and adorable. He just couldn't get enough of her. Yin Shirshir blushed and her heart raced at his words. She held her breath for a moment and looked at his handsome face that was just inches away from her. Her heartbeat was actually disrupted by his ambiguous breath that was close to her lips. She bit her lips slightly, her snow-white teeth leaving a faint imprint on her red and tender lips. His gaze fell on her tightly bitten lips, and he couldn't help but give them a light peck. After that light peck, he couldn't hold it in anymore. He caressed her cheeks and kissed her without restraint. He gently pried open her lips and engulfed her sweetness and beauty. Xiao Yichen and Yu Yu, who were hiding in the corner, covered each other's eyes at the same time. Chapter 921. Xiao Yichen and Yu Yu, who were hiding in the corner, covered each other's eyes at the same time. However, the two little lads couldn't suppress their curiosity and peeked through the gaps between their fingers. They couldn't help but blush when they saw the scene in front of them. What a beautiful scene. It was even more beautiful than the kisses in idol dramas. Mu Yaja held her cheeks and gently traced the outline of her lips. Then, like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water, he gently sucked away the saliva on her lips. Yin Shirshir hooked her arms around his shoulders and responded to his kiss. The kiss was charming and gentle. Both of them were deeply immersed in the sweetness and couldn't extricate themselves. Xiao Yichen couldn't bear to watch any longer. He covered his eyes and dragged Yu Yu back to the room. Yu Yu raised his hands in protest. What are you doing? I haven't seen enough yet. Aren't you ashamed? You peeked at Daddy and Mommy kissing. Yu Yu, you're a pervert. Xiao Yichen covered his burning cheeks and accused him. Yu Yu felt that he had been shot even though he was lying down. He retorted unhappily. Mu Yichen, what do you mean by I'm a pervert? Didn't you see it too? Xiao Yichen couldn't say anything and didn't try to explain himself. He hugged Yu Yu and climbed onto the bed. Yu Yu, go to sleep? Yu Yu. However, after what had just happened, Yu Yu couldn't fall asleep at this moment. He saw the happiness on his mommy's face. For the first time in his life, he saw the undisguised happiness in her eyes. It seemed like his mommy really liked his daddy a lot. If that was the case, then he decided to protect his mommy's happiness and not allow anyone to destroy it. The temperature in the living room continued to rise. Mu Yaja lifted her skirt and wanted to use this kiss to elevate their relationship. However, at this moment, he heard a gulp. Yin Shirshir's expression froze. Mu Yaja was also stunned. Who's calling? Boo. Another sound came from Mu Yaja's stomach. It was too much of a killjoy. The originally ambiguous atmosphere was immediately destroyed. She held her breath and pressed her ear against his stomach. She raised her head and blinked. Looking at him, she couldn't help but chuckle. Hungry? Mu Yaja's gaze, however, was fixated on her smiling lips. He was hungry, no matter which aspect it was. Then I'll cook for you, okay? Yin Shirshir sat up. Mu Yaja followed her words and slowly looked down. Yin Shirshir looked at his burning gaze that kept moving downwards. Her face turned red, and she immediately knew what he was thinking. She immediately reached out to hold his face and lifted it up. Hey, don't misinterpret my words, okay? Misinterpretation. Mu Yaja's eyes were slightly puzzled, as if he did not understand. It was as if she was the one who was thinking dirty and not him. Yin Shirshir's face turned slightly red. She pursed her lips and said, I said, if you're hungry, I'll cook noodles for you. Don't think too much, okay? Mu Yaja merely smiled and did not tease her further. Okay. He was really hungry. Hence, Yin Shirshir went into the kitchen to prepare. She rummaged through the cabinets and realized that there were not many ingredients left in the house. Usually, Yu Yu was very particular about the amount of food she prepared for dinner. Basically, it was just enough and there would not be any leftovers. Even if there were leftovers, they would not leave it for the next day because it was unhealthy. Hence, there was only instant noodles left in the house. Yin Shirshir raised her eyebrows. It was better than nothing. Chapter 922. She had not been in the kitchen for a long time, so it was inevitable that she was rusty. Naturally, her culinary skills could not be compared to Yu Yu's, but the taste was still palatable. When she placed the instant noodles and stir-fried vegetables on the table, Mu Yaja was hugging a pillow and closing his eyes to take a nap. She approached him quietly and saw the tiredness on his face. Although she could not bear to disturb him, she still gently woke him up. The noodles are ready. Wuxia was startled awake. His gaze sharpened for a moment, and then his vision cleared up. When he saw Yin Shishir's warm smile, his gaze softened and became calm again. Yin Shishir was stunned. When he opened his eyes just now, there was a strong murderous look in his eyes. It was very scary. Wuxia saw the slight change in her expression and could not help but ask, "What's wrong?" "Your gaze just now, for a second, it was very scary," she said truthfully. "Did it scare you?" Yin Shishir nodded. "When I was in military training, I had to be alert at all times even when I was sleeping," Wuxia said. "Oh, is that so?" Yin Shishir immediately said. "The noodles are ready. Hurry up and eat. It won't taste good when it gets cold." Wuxia sat at the table. When he saw that the so-called noodles were actually instant noodles, his eyes were filled with disdain. "Instant noodles?" He snorted coldly. This stupid woman. She used this to brush him off. "Can't I? There's only instant noodles at home. You can suffer for a while. It's better than going hungry." Wuxia was still disdainful, but he was really hungry. Therefore he did not care so much. He picked up his chopsticks and started eating. He took a bite. It tasted pretty good. It was not his first time eating instant noodles. The first time he ate it, she cooked it for him. The first time she cooked it, the taste was barely satisfactory. This time, the taste seemed to have improved. "Your skills have improved." Wuxia blurted out a compliment that was not really a compliment. Yin Shishir was speechless. She looked at him silently, the corners of her eyes twitching. Does making instant noodles depend on one's skills? Even an idiot could do it, okay? However, she did not dare to say this. Therefore, she felt that Wuxia was that idiot. He definitely didn't know how to make instant noodles. Such a high and mighty man had never had to worry about food and clothing. Every bit of his life was taken care of by others. How could he step into a place like the kitchen? Wuxia lowered his head and ate the noodles. He ate one mouthful after another very quickly, but he didn't make a single sound. Ever since he was young, he had been bound by the rules of the nobles. He was not allowed to make a single sound at the dining table. He sat up straight, and the hand holding the chopsticks was slender and fair. Even though he was eating something as cheap as instant noodles, he still maintained the elegant demeanor of a noble. His noble aura seemed to be emitted from his bones. Yin Shishir sat opposite him and propped her head up. She watched him eat one mouthful after another. Soon the bowl of noodles was empty. "Is there more?" Wuxia looked up and asked. Yin Shishir looked up and was stunned. She looked at him anxiously. "Not enough. Not enough. Not enough." She had cooked 3 packets of noodles, but it was still not enough for him. This man had an appetite that was disproportionate to his lean figure. It was a little unscientific. She went into the kitchen again and cooked 3 packets of noodles. Soon, she came out with a big bowl of noodles and placed it in front of him. Chapter 923. Wuxia took mouthful after mouthful of noodles and wiped them clean. Not a single strand was left. He seemed to be really hungry as he even finished all the soup. Wuxia put down the bowl and stared at her with his dark eyes as he raised a brow. Yin Shishir asked carefully, "Are you full?" "No. But I'm not particularly hungry," Wuxia replied. She sucked in a deep breath of cold air. She suddenly felt that she should get to know this man again. Why didn't she realize that he had such a big appetite before? "If you're full, then wash the dishes," Yin Shishir ordered him with a smile. Wuxia's eyes narrowed and he said, "I don't know how to." "If you don't know how to, I'll teach you. If that's the case, why don't you do it yourself?" Wuxia asked calmly. This question stumped her. Yin Shishir frowned and said, "It's already hard for me to make noodles for you." The man's eyes twitched. What was so hard about making a few bowls of noodles? Hence, he said, instant noodles should be easy to make. He glanced at her. She was clearly the one who wanted to slack off. "How about this? We'll decide by rock, paper, scissors. The loser will wash the dishes." Yin Shishir stood up and rolled up her sleeves proudly. Wuxia, who was sitting in his chair, nonchalantly raised the corner of his eye to look at her and readily agreed. "Okay, At this moment, the atmosphere in the restaurant was strange and heavy. Yin Shirshir stared at Muyaja fiercely. She slowly rolled up her sleeves and raised her fist high. Rock, paper, scissors. No, let's do it again. Best of 3. You don't go back on your word. Yin Shirshir glared at him. Rock, paper, scissors. The air froze for a moment. Muyaja smiled and retracted his hand, crossing his arms elegantly. Yin Shirshir was so angry that she almost threw herself onto the table and vomited blood. What was going on? She lost again. Yin Shirshir pointed at him angrily. You cheated. You must have cheated. Muyaja lazily knocked on the table, but his eyes were full of smiles. Miss Yin, please pay attention to your demeanor. As the saying goes, if you agree to a bet, you must accept defeat. Yin Shirshir endured and clenched her fists. How could she just let it go when it was related to a person's dignity? She wanted to pester him for another round, but Muyaja ignored her. Yin Shirshir could only unwillingly carry the bowls and chopsticks into the sink. With a face full of grief and indignation, she took the steel wire ball, squeezed some detergent, and started to scrub it. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind her. Following that, a pair of long arms slowly wrapped around her waist, and a warm and strong body pressed against her back. Muyaja then hugged her waist from behind, and his chin gently rested on her shoulder. His warm breath gently rolled around her cheeks, as if he was teasing her invisibly. Yin Shirshir was stunned, and her hands unconsciously stopped moving. She unnaturally tugged at the corner of her lips and said with a stiff smile, Hey, what are you doing? Muyaja didn't say anything, but reached out to hold her hands. At that moment, her hands were still stained with the foam and oil from the detergent. He held them gently, and his fingertips gently caressed them as he stared at the calluses on her hands. Her 10 fingers were very slender, and this kind of hand was born to play the piano. It was beautiful and clean, and she could easily cross an octave. Chapter 924. Yin Shirshir widened her eyes in shock. Why was this man suddenly interested in her hands? She was still washing the dishes, and her hands were covered in detergent and grease. Didn't he find it dirty? Furthermore, her hands weren't considered good-looking. Why was he staring at them? In reality, she hadn't done much housework since she was young. However, after the Yin family fell apart, she started to learn how to do housework. When she was in university, she worked part-time. She remembered that when she was in university, manicures were popular in class. Almost every girl in class would happily get their nails done during the holidays. However, she couldn't do that. She had to work part-time. If she had manicures, it would be inconvenient for her to work. At that time, the most she did was wash the dishes. She had to wash thousands of dishes a day, and her back hurt. Her hands were also soaked in grease all year round, so they were a little rough. At one point, she felt dejected. Her hands were originally fine, but they were now so ugly because of her. The more he stared at them, the more embarrassed she felt. She retracted her hands, but he held them tightly. Yin Shirshir was a little annoyed. Why do you keep staring at my hands? Muyaja chuckled softly all of a sudden and casually remarked, Your hands are so ugly. Yin Shirshir's face darkened instantly. She gritted her teeth and said, Muyaja, are my hands as ugly as you say? He smiled. But when I look at them again, they look pretty good. Yin Shirshir was stunned. She thought that she was hearing things. One moment he said that her hands were ugly. The next moment he said that they looked pretty good. Why was this man so contradictory? Why do you have so many calluses? He suddenly asked in a deep voice. Yin Shirshir retracted her hands unwillingly and slapped his hands away. She then buried her head in washing the dishes again. Suddenly, she pretended to be relaxed and said, I used to wash dishes often. Perhaps it's because I was soaked in grease all the time. It's a part-time job. When I was forced to, I even did heavy work. Heavy work? A moving company. You even do that? It can't be helped. The salary is high, so. Yin Shirshir didn't continue. The kitchen was silent for a moment. Muyaja didn't say anything, but she said indifferently, Someone like you who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, who didn't have to worry about food and clothing, who came from a rich and powerful family, How could you understand the lives of poor commoners like us? If you're used to eating delicacies, how would you understand that there are people in this world who would not hesitate to move bricks just to fill their stomachs? She suddenly raised her eyebrows and said, I have a classmate who works part-time to study. You, on the other hand, probably don't have to worry about this. So Muyaja, isn't there a world of difference between the worlds we grew up in? There was no movement behind him for a long time. His breathing was still soft and warm. In the kitchen, only the sound of water could be heard. He didn't speak for a long time. It was so long that Yin Shirshir mistakenly thought that she had said something that angered him. Suddenly she heard him say, So God let you meet me. Yin Shirshir was stunned. God loves you and thinks that you should be happy, so he let you meet me. Muyaja smiled. And God is a little jealous of me. He thinks that my life is too extravagant, so he let me meet you. Chapter 925. Muyaja continued slowly. God felt that he should dote on you, so he let you meet me. God also felt that I was living too comfortably, so he let me meet you and be annoyed by you all day long. She suddenly burst out laughing. Are you trying to coax a child? Yes, aren't you a child? Yin Shirshir's face darkened. Of course I'm not. I'm already a mother. But in my eyes, you're still just a child. Hey Muyaja. Yin Shirshir instantly turned her head away in dissatisfaction. Before she could finish her sentence, a fiery kiss landed on her lips. It was a soft kiss, but it was a quiet kiss. It wasn't as wild and domineering as before. She widened her eyes in astonishment and blinked in surprise. Her eyelashes brushed past his eyelids and intertwined with his eyelashes. Yin Shirshir furrowed her brows slightly. She looked up and bit her lip hard. Who kisses with their eyes so wide open? Yin Shirshir swallowed softly and pretended to be calm. My eyes are naturally big. Even if I don't open them, they'll still be big. Muyaja pursed his lips. So, do you have to twist the meaning of my words? Yin Shirshir pursed her lips and smiled. She smacked her lips and pretended to be generous. She smiled and said, All right then. Then I'll take it that I'm at a disadvantage. Let's do it again. Thus, she closed her eyes and pouted mischievously. She couldn't help but open her eyelids slightly, looking like she was teasing him. Muyaja's eyes twitched fiercely. Why was it that no matter how good the atmosphere was, it was always so easy to ruin it when it came to her? He really wanted to slap her face. Thus he flicked her forehead hatefully and said, Go wash the dishes. With that, Muya turned around with a frown. Behind him, Yin Shirshir's laughter could be heard. Haha, you're shy. Ha. He turned his head coolly to glance at her, only to see Yin Shirshir wiggling her butt and sticking her tongue out at him. Muyaja glared daggers at her. When he turned his face, he could no longer suppress the indulgent smile on his lips. He walked to the balcony and made a call. This call was to Du Boisxiong. Just now, when Yin Shirshir was cooking noodles, he ordered someone to send him Du Boisxiong's number. The phone rang for a while before it was picked up. Then Du Boisxiong's sleepy and confused voice came from the other end. Who is it? Director Du. Who are you? Du Boisxiong asked in puzzlement. Muyaja. He introduced himself. The person on the other end was stunned for a moment before exclaiming in surprise. Oh, it's Chairman Mu. Du Boisxiong instantly sobered up. At first he was still a little skeptical. This Muyaja was such a distinguished big shot. Why would he take the initiative to call him in the middle of the night? He was a little flattered and smiled flatteringly. Director Mu, what made you call me personally? I'm really afraid. Yin Shirshir finished washing the dishes and walked out. Seeing Muyaja standing on the balcony making a call, she didn't disturb him. She went into the bathroom to take a shower and lay down comfortably on the bed. On the other side, Muyaja stood on the balcony, facing the night breeze, but didn't speak for a long time. On the other end of the phone, Du Boisxiong was holding the phone. Seeing that he didn't speak for a long time, he went from being wild with joy at the beginning to trembling with fear at the moment. His thoughts kept changing. Chapter 926. At this moment, Muyaja no longer had a smile on his face. His face was cold and emotionless, but his eyes were deep and bottomless. Du Boisxiong was a somewhat famous nouveau riche in this city. It was said that he had made his fortune through construction projects. His business was going smoothly, and he was considered a little famous in this industry. However, not to mention the Muse, even when compared to the Songs and Gaos, the Du family was not considered a so-called prestigious family. They were just nouveau riche. To Muyaja, she could not be any more insignificant than this. If Muyaja was a mountain, then Du Boisxiong was only a small sesame seed. According to his character, he would not bother to deal with such a small figure. However, it was different this time. Tonight, Huang Lili and Du Jiayan's ugly faces were really disgusting. He thought that the Du family was a prestigious family and specially ordered someone to check on Du Boisxiong's background. Alas, this was the result. At the same time, he also learned that Du Boisxiong had some cooperation with the Muse. Although it was called a cooperation, it was actually a cooperation between Du Boisxiong and the Mu Group. Du Boisxiong had contracted a few projects under the Mu Group's name. Du Boisxiong placed great importance on the Mu Group's projects, but to the Mu Group, he was just a contractor that could be replaced and retendered at any time. This Du Boisxiong was dispensable. Hence, in front of Du Boisxiong, he personally announced that his cooperation with the Mu Group's projects was cancelled. He would be replaced and retendered.